Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST, live on Facebook and YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I with your host, Alinko.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We apologize for that stack in the feed, but this is the Progressive Mind Show. We are glad that you joined us this evening. We are very excited that we decided to do this topic. It had been some underground conversation with a lot of friends, I'll say team members, to get this conversation going. We know this is something that we all talk about in our small circles, but we decided to bring it to the limelight, or I'll say bring it out publicly to have an open conversation about some of these relationship issues that we all deal with. And so we're very excited to be coming your way this evening. Today is October 6th, 2021. My name is Alinko. I'm the host of the Progressive Mind Show. We're located right here in the beautiful city of Chicago, a minute after 6 p.m. We would begin the show as usual with the Captain Mike segment. Right after that, the conversation will be very excited today, and we're looking forward to bringing it your way. This is the Progressive Mind Show. Captain Mike, um, good week so far. I wasn't expecting it, but I think last week was very good. So please go ahead with the updates in weather, sports, and health, if you may.
All right, right now at Midway Airport, you're looking at 68 degrees. Winds are out of the east, and you have cloudy skies. For the rest of tonight, 68 degrees is our normal high. Our normal low around this time of year is 50 degrees. So we're going to be about 10 degrees warmer than normal as far as our lows go for the rest of the week. And we're going to take a look. We're going to keep those cloudy skies pretty much all week and have a chance of rain late tonight. So keep those umbrellas handy. Tomorrow, off and on showers, not a washout by any means. Friday, nice day. The sun is going to peek his head out every once in a while. Saturday is going to be a little bit windier. And overnight, you're going to have some winds. We're going to top out about 75 degrees. Sunday, we're going to hit 80 degrees. It's going to be really windy, so hold on to your hats. Maybe some showers early in the day. And Monday, we're going to have our best chances of some significant rain throughout the late morning, early afternoon. It's going to stay windy, winds out of the south. Tuesday, we're going to have a little bit of clearing, 70 degrees. Winds are out of the southwest. And Wednesday, about 75 degrees, and those clouds are going to take over again, and we're going to have mostly cloudy skies and just maybe a chance of some rain there. In sports, only thing really now, as far as I'm concerned, White Sox tomorrow are going to play the Astros at 3:07 p.m., starting their run to the World Series. And topping our health and fitness report, today we're going to talk about Alzheimer's disease. Black people are twice as likely to be affected by Alzheimer's disease. And according to Marsha Clark Morris, Rush University nutritional epidemiologist, she developed the MIND diet, which combines the Mediterranean and DASH diets, which may stave off some of the effects of Alzheimer's in some studies. If you eat these 9 healthy foods, you may optimize your brain performance. So let's get to the list. First, vegetables. Yes, your mom told you and she was right. Eat your vegetables, especially your leafy green vegetables. They have a lot of vitamin C. Next, we're going to eat a lot of berries. They contain antioxidants. And for snacks, next on the list, third, nuts. Eat a lot of nuts, peanuts. They're good snacks, healthy. And fourth, we're going to try to cook our foods in olive oils. Try to stay away from the processed vegetable oils and such. So olive oil is a better alternative. Next, we're going to eat whole grains. And 6, fish. Eat a lot of fish. They're high in omega-3 oils, and those are very helpful for brain function. Next, beans. Beans, the magical fruit. 8, poultry. So Yeah, we're trying to stay away from those red meats and such. So poultry and fish. And the last one may make a lot of people happy. Wine, red and white wine contains resveratrol, and they're recommending 1 glass a day. So that can help our physical processes and help stave off some of the effects of alcohol. Now, what we don't want to eat, limit butter. Try to stay away from fast foods, sweets and pastries, and fatty cheeses. So, but also, as we always recommend, before you have any drastic changes in your diet, talk to your doctor or your healthcare provider. And with that, Cena, we're going back to you.
Captain Mike, as usual, thank you so much for giving us the updates. We really appreciate you. Please hang in there. Do not go anywhere. Hang in somewhere to partake in this conversation, okay? Because it's going to be very, very interesting, all right?
You know what? I would love to, but I have to go to work.
I know. Where are you currently?
Got to go teach.
What's your current location, Captain Mike?
I'm in Denver, about a block south of the United Pilot Training Center.
Okay, great. And can you give us an update on the airline? Give us an update on the regarding the rates at which let's just say the airline industry. Updates on the airline industry, because we know that we're still hearing that the international airports are not opened, and I don't know if that's true, but go ahead and give us some updates.
Yeah, there's still some restrictions for international travel. So make sure you check the updates before you make plans, buy tickets. But as far as the TSA numbers going through our domestic airports, we're still about 68% of what we were in 2019, which is kind of holding steady. So we're doing really well domestically. So we just got to get our international numbers back to where they were before. And we've got to get this virus back under control. So make sure you stay healthy, wear the mask, socially distance, wash your hands like mom told you, and we should be okay on the other end.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you, and we're looking forward to hearing from you next week.
All right, and I'm definitely going to watch the replay of this because this is something I want to watch, and I wish I could participate.
All right, hey, you brother. Wish us luck.
All right, you be in trouble. See you next week.
All right, okay. All right, that was Captain Mike with the segment. And we're going to have, hey, brother Mark, I see you. Mark, I need you to tilt your phone, okay, sideways. So please help do that, rotate it, and we can continue the show. Can you hear us, Mark?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I need you to do that right now. So you're welcome once again, viewers. This is the Progressive Mind Show. We came up with this topic. Of course, not with regards to our relationships, okay? Black men, black women, and like I said earlier, this is a conversation that has been ongoing. And so we'll try our best. We'll attempt to discuss it. Feel free to be part of the conversation. The Progressive Minds is your community building show, and this is where we engage in dialogues as these, okay, to enhance the betterment of our society in general. So once again, good evening and welcome to the Progressive Mind Show viewers, those who are here for the first time, and our regular viewers. We appreciate all of you who have just joined us tonight to talk about the dynamics of dating the educated Black woman. I'd like to begin with this quote by Malcolm X. The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black women. We would like to begin, unquote, we would like to begin this show by stating clearly that today is not an indictment on the Black woman, but rather an attempt to see where our differences lie when it comes to understanding each other. The goal is to work towards a healthy, magical Black love. Black woman, we love you. And that is the main point. We'll also like to introduce our guests this evening. I want to go straight to them. First is here. I need to switch, but bear with me. We're just struggling with our system here. Bam, okay, we have it. Now, let me go straight to our guests. We have Mr. AKRONG. No, I made a mistake. He's a pastor, bro. Forgive me. He's an assistant pastor. So Pastor AKRONG, he is assistant pastor, as I said, with Victory of Temple of Victory here in Chicago. He's also
psychiatric and mental health nurse practitioner.
Yes. I was going to say nurse practitioner. Okay, yes. So thank you for helping me out. We Tunde couldn't make the show, for those of you who have been following us on social media, due to some last minute hitches. In his stead, we have Sahid. Sahid is the CEO of SOA Consultant Entertainment. Sahid Adeyele. Sahid Adeyele. Sahid, you're welcome again. He's not a stranger on the show, brother. Welcome to the Progressive Mind Show once again.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Sana. Appreciate
really
it.
Awesome. And then next to him is Dr. Silky. Now, he likes to be addressed. You need to make sure you add a doctor to his title. He's also a king. So we're going to make sure that we get it right. He is Dr. King Silky J. Booker, a philanthropist, business consultant, life coach, a radio show host, and a very fine gentleman, brother. He's also not a stranger on this show. You're welcome to the Progressive Minds once again, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here. King of Link. I appreciate you, man. I love your show. I've been supporting you ever since you got started. And it's always a pleasure to be back. So thank you, King.
My pleasure. And then lastly, we have Mark Flowers. He is a commercial attorney and a barrister, having a little challenge with his feet. Hopefully we should be able to get through. Brothers, first of all, the quote that I just read from Malcolm X, does it hold any truth in our society today? I'll start with Sahid.
Yeah, thanks, Senator. I mean, the truth, in my opinion, lies with the fact that every individual has an opinion. Mm-hmm. That's what I like to say. And opinions could be relative based on individuals' perspective. I mean, that quote, I probably would say back in that particular time when it was mentioned, that was, significant. Now, yes, do we still have the respect of, the Black woman? The truth is it's not there yet, but it's a lot better than it used to be before. But we can obviously do a lot better than we're currently doing. There is still that mixed feelings about the respect and what is respect when it comes to Black women. I mean, we do know quite a number do respect them for their openness and being vocal. But then in other areas, we still challenge with regards to the level of respect that accords the Black woman. So yes, it's relative depending on the individual's perspective.
Okay, thank you so much. That's from Sahid. Depending on the individual's perspective, it is relative. Dr. Silky, go ahead.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, I'm gonna say the Black woman is God. So I think that's where we need to first start looking at the Black woman as God, the creator of all of us. And I think that statement that Malcolm X made is still relevant today. We talk about Black women as though we're strangers and that we have like this distant relationship, like we cousins, when in actuality, it should be a more intimate relationship, and I'm not talking about it in terms of a relationship, but intimate as in sense of essence and who they are and the connection to them. Mm-hmm. Seeing that our mothers are Black, our grandmothers are Black, there is a disconnect in the emotion that we feel towards our Black mothers that we don't necessarily feel to a Black woman that necessarily we don't know. And we've lost that. And I think that since the existence of us in this country, the whole dynamic of the country was built on keeping the Black man and the Black woman apart. So the system was constructed that way. And over time, we've become strangers to one another. So yeah, it's very relevant.
Thank you so much for sharing, my brother. Pastor AKWETEY.
Okay, let me just give a disclaimer.
Okay.
The views of this one Pastor AKWETEY AKRONG do not reflect the views of this show. I don't want to get misconstrued and you come and attack my good brother Senna for anything that I say. I don't want to be controversial, but I want to express the views as I see it. I have so much love and respect for what Malcolm X did, but I believe that he was mistaken in what he was saying. The Black woman is a part of a whole. To really just dice up a Black woman and isolate her as an individual is very, very hard to do. And that is what the enemy tries to do, is to separate us. It's a divide and conquer tactic. What Malcolm X was saying is that she's the most disrespected and the most unprotected. The last time I checked, women in general are protected by men, but men are not protected by anyone. So just logically speaking, the Black man is the least protected, because at least a Black woman has a Black man to protect her, but a Black man has no one to protect him. So in regards of respect, I would say that, and a lot of people crucify me for this, there are two things in this world the Bible really affords to men and women. And those two things, more than anything, are love and respect. Unfortunately, for many of us who are men, respect in most cases has to be earned, but love is not earned. Women are afforded love so much more than respect, because women are born with an innate value in them. Men show their value through their productivity, and that is how we gain respect. So to say that the Black woman is the most disrespected, I can understand that, but most women are not in a position to gain respect from everybody. They can gain love, but when it comes to respect, respect traditionally has been a thing for men. And I hate to say that, but I believe that to be the truth.
I like
Wow.
that.
No, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Hey,
Pastor Peter. Attorney Mark, can you hear us good?
I can, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you heard the question, the opening statement. If you didn't, I can try and go with it, but you're fine. We'll work with what you have.
Okay, good.
Okay. Did you hear the previous question?
No, could you just repeat it for me, please?
So there was a quote that I read from it's an old Malcolm X quote that I used during the intro, and it goes like this: quote, the most disrespected person in America is a Black woman, the most unprotected woman in America is a Black woman, and the most neglected woman in America is the Black woman. And my question is that still relevant today, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think that from a certain standpoint, yes. As from a certain standpoint, no. I think contextually, if you look at how society has viewed Black women, the struggle has been great for the Black woman. And I think a lot has changed since the days of Martin Luther King with respect to that. But I also think that as Black men, and I think LeBron James said this at one point, we have to uplift Black women as well. And I think that you see examples of a lot of that happening around us. So I think in this day and age, you know, if you look at the suffrage movement, if you look at where Black people have come from in general, Black women have a lot more rights now. I think women in general have been good in terms of raising awareness of the things that have normally been oppressive. For instance, there's the Me Too movement. You see rappers such as R. Kelly, who we grew up with, kind of idolizing, feet now being held to the fire. Bill Cosby, for example, that's a very known litigious case where, you know, a male Black role model's feet were held to the fire. So I think, especially in this day and age with social media, where women have a voice outside of a contextual atmosphere, maybe in academia where things are being screened, or in the house where their voices are being muted. I think social media especially has given women a voice to raise their concerns. I think that the law is changing in a way where precedents are being upheld to give women the kind of power that they need. I think it's just incumbent upon us as men to recognize that the time is here, to see women as our equals in all facets of society. And I think that that's really the starting point for us as young professionals in the home.
Right. I think the argument that, or the point that, you know, men ought to see women in the same fashion as us, or as equal as us, and all of that. I think that is a no-brainer, right? We all agree, women are, we all equal. But my brother Pastor Akwete made some points, and so is Sahid and Silky. Now, whilst he was, does anyone have a comment to a point that was raised earlier before I move to the next question? Because I know some of you may want to have to say something. So anybody wanted to make a comment earlier before I went to Attorney Mark? Is that Akwete? Okay, Pastor Akwete, go ahead.
As I say, it's so hard. I don't want to come off as a woman hater or somebody who's against women, because I am definitely not. I love my wife. My wife loves me. I love all women, but we have to put things in order in their place. As you should see, I am a pastor, so a lot of the views that I have are not based on culture. It's actually based on biblical principles and what God has said in himself. You made a statement, Mr. Mark Flowers, about the equality between men and women, especially in the Black community. I want to make this statement, and please don't attack me, but if you want to rebuttal, do that. Men and women are not equal. We have never been equal, and we never will be equal. Man was made and created first in the image of God, and woman was removed from man in the image of man to be a complement and a helpmate for man. So in no way, shape, or form can the helper be equal to the helpee. If someone has somebody made specifically designed to support him, then that person cannot be equal to him. I am a man. God has endowed me with bigger bones, with stronger muscles, with more endurance, and a mind that is both logical and straight in reasoning. I'm not saying that women can't use logic and reason, but men tend to use it a whole lot more. And these attributes make it easier for me to manipulate it, to navigate this world to where a woman will have difficulty. So to say that a man is equal to a woman and we should fight for those equalities is actually going to end up in more ruin than actually going to help. I believe women should have every opportunity that men have, without a doubt. A woman should have the opportunity to become president. A woman should have the opportunity to go to the moon. A woman should have the opportunity to be an engineer. But to say that we are equal is something that I cannot agree with, because the Bible that I read tells me that the woman was made for the man. So I can't accept that a woman is equal to a man. And we see in biology that we don't have equality. Even the way that we reason, there's no equality. The hormones in our body, there's no equality. So it's hard for me to agree with the fact that we are equal. We are not equal. What we are two parts of a whole. And when we have parts of a whole, each part needs to play their role specifically for the whole to benefit. And that's why we're having a discord, or we're having a disagreement. People are not playing their proper parts. That's why the whole, which is the African community, are falling apart, because people are not doing what they are designed and equipped to do. Thank you.
Wow. And I don't know if I don't have any counterpoints to that.
I do.
Go ahead.
Now, I get what he's saying in the biblical sense. But I still think that there's a Eurocentric thinking mindset to that process. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because when you talk about equality, I think we as Homo sapiens have evolved to the point now where we are, yes, equal, but now you have to talk about equity. And I think that's what we got to talk about in terms of men and women now is how does the sexual equity, not equality, because we are equal. Men and women, I feel, are equal, and I get where he's coming in the biblical sense, but I still think that that's a very Eurocentric way of thinking, and not so much a progressive way of thinking. And but that's just my opinion, but that's just my 2 cents.
I get it. That's your 2 cents. I clearly you made it. I don't know if Sahid or Mark has any counterpoints. If not, I'd like to move on from this to the next question.
Yeah, so we can debate on this all day,
right?
But I would just like to say, in all of this been said so far, let's understand there's a place of culture and the influence of culture also on gender and the perception of gender.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, Mark, did you have any comments before I move on?
You know, I think we could touch on a lot in other questions. I would just say that I think different men and women have different roles. I would agree, but that's not to say that the roles aren't equal. So,
Okay.
you know, that's essentially the end of my comment.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. And anybody has an idea of statistics on, let's say, divorce, separations, and all of that in the Black community? Anybody has stats, figures on those?
Yeah, actually, I pulled a little bit up. So one of the things that I'll say with the statistics on it is that it has changed drastically. It's a very, very big change, and in general, things have changed. But I think more so for African Americans and Black people, especially in America in general. Before World War II ended in the 40s and 50s, before the Civil Rights Movement, Black people were actually married at a rate of 86%.
Mm.
That's very, very high. But today, the rate of marriage after that is about 35%, which is drastically low.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very alarming rate. And as I say, that I have to keep on saying this every time I say it. I don't hate women, but I just have to look at the facts.
Mm-hmm.
So you ask yourself, what changed between men and women between World War II and now?
Yeah. Like what has happened to the Black community?
No. What has changed between men and women between the World War II and now? Because before World War II, there was no change in the dynamic between men and women at all. It had stayed the same for eons, for millennia.
Yeah.
But after 1945, this is what happened. I'm going to show you. So in 1945, after the World War II, what had happened is that so many men were in war. So what had to happen? Things had to be produced. And who were they relying on to produce those things? It was women. So women started going into the workforce and working like men were working. As I said, I believe that they're capable just as we are capable in most things, not in all things. So women were working, and what were they doing? Working and making money at a rate that has never, ever been seen before in human history. So as women are making money and men come back to the workforce, women are saying, hey, I was doing this and I've shown that I've been capable of this. And people are like, yeah, you know what? You showed that you're capable of this. So let us maintain women in the workforce. So women started to get what is called money. And money is the changer of many, many things. See, I preached a series in my church, and it was about reflecting the image of Jesus Christ. And one of the aspects of that reflection is humility. And I made a strong statement. And this was mainly pertaining to women. I was using women to point out this point. And I asked the question, were the women of old more humble than the women of today? That is a question I posed to many people. And many people obviously said, yes, the women of old, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, they're so much more humble to their husbands than the women of today. And I questioned that. And I said, are you sure about that? You see, what I find is that humility is assessed properly in the midst of options. The more options an individual has, the less humble they tend to be. A beggar on the street has many, very, very few options. So his humility and his humbleness is going to be through the roof. A rich man who is, let's say, a billionaire like Jeff Bezos has more than 1 billion options. So he doesn't have a need to be humble. A poor man needs to be humble just to fill his belly, just to survive. So he's going to be more humble than a Jeff Bezos. So women back in the old days, they did not have money. They didn't have culture on their side. They didn't have education on their side. And they didn't have a whole movement behind them. So they had no choice but to be humble to their husbands. But those same women, if you give them money today, they have the culture behind them. They have education behind them. And they have the ability to determine their own future. Are these same women going to be humble? And I will tell you that those women will not be humble. Okay. They didn't have options back then. Now that there are options, now we see there's a change in their humility.
Right. Yeah. So thank you for sharing, Pastor AKWETEY. And I'll have you speak, Dr. Silky. Wanted to say that the conversation, of course, the topic today is dating the educated Black women, right? We want to the dynamics of it. But we also wanted to understand some of the foundation of dating relationships in the first place. And which is what led us to what we have been talking about so far. So please bear with us. There are some questions that have come through and directly to Pastor AKWETEY, and I'm going to have you respond to them. But King Silky, go ahead and make your comment quickly, and I can try and get some of this comments out. I think go ahead. I think you had muted yourself.
On a few points. Just when you say you look back at the women of old, I look at it the same way as U.S. history starts. It always starts with us in slavery. So you have to. I look way back further than that. And who were Black women when we were in Africa? Who were we then? And I look at this African queen named Kempa Vita. She was the mother of the African Revolution, and she stopped the slave trade during the 1700s, and they burned her alive, and I think in 1709. She was looked at equally as a king would be for his particular village. So you had women who were in roles of this leadership type of thing. So we have to go further back to who we were as a people and not start at this starting point of capitalism. That's just my only point.
Okay. Now, thanks for giving us a good background. And the reason why the rate of divorce, separation, and all of that became, important is how do we as a community or as a people improve? Because we know that as a people, we are struggling with relationships in the first place. And now let's look at dating the educated Black woman in the first, as the topic specifically. Let me put it out specifically. Now, when a woman, to Pastor AKWETEY's point, when a woman is educated and she's earning money, does her status alone intimidate a man if they were to start a relationship just by that status alone? And I'm going to ask you all men. As men, let's be honest. Does that status intimidate most men? I'll start with Sahid.
All right. So for me personally, it doesn't intimidate. Okay. Because again, when you talk about education, I look at it more from a perspective of enlightenment. The more an individual is enlightened, the more options and chances that they have to express themselves outside of what could be cultural, as against what is the norm in the society environment where they're in. So when you talk about an educated, Black woman, of course, some of the things that I've seen over time becoming sort of a lifestyle is the fact that they begin to define themselves by the environment and the definition of what is expected of that status symbol. Now, for me, I feel that's where the breach normally comes into play, where it's an expectation of I want to meet what the society would expect of supposedly an educated woman compared to what would likely be the ideal of a Black woman coming from the cultural background, coming from the lifestyle and family that we all basically grew out of. But for me personally, I'm not intimidated in any way by level of education or success of a Black woman.
Now, to you personally, have you observed, is that a conversation among men when it comes to the educational or I would say economic status of when it comes to the economic status of an educated woman? Again, your opinion, you've given your opinion, but from your observation,
right?
You think that typically men get a little jittery?
Well, maybe for the group of men that I have known, I would say the larger percentage are intimidated by successful education.
Straight point. They are intimidated. Okay.
Yes.
Let me hear from Mark, Attorney Mark.
Yeah, I would say in general, men are intimidated by educated Black women. I would say that in general.
Okay.
Right. But I think that you have different energies and you have different love languages, right? So historically, if we look at our mothers and grandmothers, they grew up in a different era. And if you're comfortable with what a woman gives you outside of education, the weight that's placed on the education really wouldn't matter to either party, the woman or the man. For instance, you can be educated within 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 hours. But there are different traits that attach to the energy of a woman that you can't teach sometimes in a lifetime. For instance, can this woman care for you? Can she care for your family? Um, has she have a strong connection with her family, extended or direct? Is she empathetic? Is she a good caretaker? Some of those things are taught in the house. Some of those things are cultural. So I think in general, if you place education as a barometer of success in a relationship, you could go very wrong. I think most men are intimidated because a woman will compete with them with their education in the workforce. And most men like to feel as if they're the breadwinner, and they can provide for their women. So in that respect, I think men are challenged by educated Black women. And I think it's a different kind of energy that women develop when they have to compete in the workforce with standards that men have set over centuries. But on the flip side, I think that the enlightenment that comes with education, women and men should be able to see that there's way more value in having a nurturing environment where a man could, for instance, go home and vet, or a woman could vet, where you could be understood, where your emotions are nurtured, where you could raise your family in a loving environment. And that has a lot more weight and value. So in general, to the question, yes, I think men are definitely intimidated by educated Black women. And I think it represents an attack on the traditional role of the man, which is that the man is the breadwinner.
Okay. Excellent. No, thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt, but
it's okay.
Great point. I wanted to, follow up with a question. Now, is it just are men? You said generally men are intimidated. Personally, I see that too. But me, as a person, I mean, I actually love that. I want to see a woman challenge is stimulating me. You have to stimulate my intelligence, for me to be able to, I kind of appreciate that. Let me put it that way. But you're right. As a man, I also notice and observe that men are typically challenged. But you said something. You said in the working environment, but I don't think that it's only limited to the working environment. I think the challenge is more so in the home, like outside the working environment. And you made a very great point, because we have that natural instinct to provide. Once we see that you have more now, then okay, who am I going to provide for? Because you have everything now. So that natural instinct to provide is not there. And then and I think for the women too, because they have enough to provide, like to Pastor AKWETEY's point, that I think that there's a challenge who now listens to who. And I think sometimes that's where the friction begins, right? Because if I can cater for myself and I don't need you providing necessarily, then who becomes the authority in the relationship? And should there be an authority in a relationship in the first place? Pastor AKWETEY. I wanted you to respond to the first question. Do you think that most men are intimidated by educated Black women? I mean, are Black men intimidated by?
Yes and no at the same time. Okay, so when you see an educated woman, in most situations, because we understand that their mind has changed, now we also have to change our game and change our approach. So let's say you're a 28-year-old man. Let's say you're earning $50,000 a year. You have a comfortable living. You're responsible with your money. But you go and meet a woman who doesn't have an education, and you meet a woman who has a master's degree. So a man is more likely to go after a woman who doesn't have education, because many times the standards that a woman is going to put on her potential husband are so much higher than maybe what the man is at. If we look at statistics in America, like the top earners in the country are not Black, and people earning let's say $200,000 a year in the Black community are very, very few. It's probably less than 5%. But if you look at a woman who's, let's say, has a master's degree and is master's prepared, she's not looking for somebody who makes $50,000. In many cases, we can make it about education, but education is a point to get us to finances. So men are intimidated by educated women because they know that their standards are going to be higher. They know that they're going to require more financially. And then also with that higher requirement, many women are empowered by the money and the education that they have. So in marriage, traditionally, especially as a pastor, there's a dynamic between man and woman in marriage. It is not an equality. It cannot work that way. I have to reference my own head pastor in his counseling for my wife and I, says that there can only be one head in the marriage. Anything with two heads is deemed a monster and cannot operate properly. So if there's going to be a dynamic of one head and one subordinate, then the woman is going to naturally have to take that role. Men, I find, don't perform well when they are subordinates. They don't reach their potential. But a woman can reach her potential as a woman in a subordinate role. So if a woman has an education, I would say she's more likely to challenge, more likely to throw a blurred line in between the power dynamic and the authority of the man. So many men are aware of this. So they would shy away from stuff like that from a woman with position and power, because indeed they are intimidated, because they don't want to fight. They don't want to challenge. They want to be the man of their house, and they want a woman who's going to be their wife. So I would say yes and no.
Wow. You were nodding your head, Mark. You want to comment real quick, and I'll go to King Silky.
Yeah, so I agree with Pastor in the sense that, but more from a perspective of any man, particularly a professional man, doesn't want the added stress of a million fights when they get home over things that, so yes, in a sense, I agree with Pastor that yes, there needs to be a head, but more so from the perspective of, as a man, you just don't want the additional stress of having to battle with someone who's supposed to be a partner to make key decisions. So it's supposed to be a seamless, easy process. And I think outside of the fact that men would look at the education as a challenge to their breadwinner role, you just don't want to have that internal struggle constantly when you get at home, right? But again, that depends on the way the relationship is viewed and the context is viewed. So
awesome. Dr. Silky, do we need to have that roles in our relationship? Is that supposed to be the head and the one who's not the head? You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, do we need that in a relationship, or you still want to stand by your earlier session that we are equal and there's no head, no, everybody's the same, we all play equal roles and we keep it like that? Is that still your session?
Well, to answer the first question, I think the educated black woman or the man?
Do black men typically get intimidated by educated black women?
Hell no. And I'm gonna just say that's just my opinion. I would say that's my opinion. No, hell no. I don't even know dudes like that. I don't even hang with dudes like that. Okay, this is what I'm saying. Like, I look for a powerful, educated, strong woman. And why would you not want to be your better self? Like, if you can find a woman out there that's gonna challenge you and make you be better, why would you not go for the cream of the crop? Why would you not go for that? Like, I wouldn't get intimidated. If anything, that motivates me and drives me.
Awesome. So that makes a couple of us on this platform, we agree. Have you observed, as a man, probably your inner circle guys are not like that, but generally, have you observed that type of relationship when it comes to men and women, when it comes to educated men and women? You don't see, from the men's perspective, you don't see no type of intimidation. Is that correct?
I've witnessed it outside of my circle.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And I believe, like, in the animal kingdom, you got there's a hierarchy. Even in the animal kingdom, there's a hierarchy.
So you agree to what we already said, that some men and a lot of men are, get a little bit apprehension when it comes to them dating or relating with educated black women.
Yeah, like I said, I stand by that. I stand by. I don't think men are intimidated. I don't think you should be intimidated.
You said you've observed some men.
Yeah, I watch movies. I see it. I see it.
When I talk, okay,
it's just not in my circle. I don't know any dudes that's intimidated by women. I don't know any dudes that in my circle of alpha we can go with the alpha conversation if y'all want, but kings, I don't know any kings in my circle that are intimidated by educated Black women. None.
Okay.
If anything, we be foaming at the mouth for that.
Okay. So good thing. So at least within your circles there are men who feel intimidated. But apart from be feeling a type of way, in your experience and from your observation, do you think that relationships that have that involve an educated Black woman creates a lot of maybe argument, tension? Again, from your observation, have you seen a lot of relationships struggle because the woman is educated? Now,
no, I see them be more successful.
Awesome.
I've seen more successful relationships.
Awesome.
I've seen more successful relationships when they have a more powerful, educated Black woman than failures.
Okay.
And that's just my
have you heard some females talk about how a lot of Black men feel some type of way or intimidated just because they are educated and they have careers and they're professionals? Have you heard from some females say that?
Well, I understand that goes to generational trauma. I think as Black men, we've been beat down to not have this confidence and this beat on our chest, wear our crown type of arrogance that we should possess about ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just, has been generationally put into our mindset and our psyche that we aren't the head of everything. We like Black men are powerful and we don't see our worth. We don't know our worth. The only person that doesn't know the Black man's worth is the Black man. So once we start to know who we are and we are able to step into that, we ain't intimidated by nothing.
Okay. Do you all believe? I don't believe that Black men don't know their worth. I disagree with you on that. I don't know what the other panels members feel, but I feel like, a lot of Black men, just like some like educated women, some don't. The same way a lot of Black men know their worth, but we just have to deal with challenges. And I think that understanding that an educated Black woman can be an addition to your life, or more support to your life than agitation is something we're all trying to understand better because of the roles. Now, let me ask you the question that I wanted to ask, previously. Do you believe that there should be roles, like the man being the head and the woman being the more submissive one?
No.
Do you believe in that philosophy?
No, I think there needs to be an equitable conversation.
Not conversation, but in terms of responsibility, like in terms of who takes the lead in the house when it comes to certain decisions, who carves the way for the others to follow, who leads the way. I mean, should there be anybody that leads a charge, or we should all go with the flow? It doesn't matter.
I think it's across the board. I think it's equal because we're looking at it, and you can talk about eugenics in this. Like you got some smaller men that date more muscular women. Who's to say like she can't protect him? Like there's 100 different dynamics that we can talk about. It's equal. It's equal to the individual. It's equal to the individual. It's what you seek. If you seek a weaker human, you're gonna go for that. You're gonna go and be you're gonna go where you feel valued. So if you feel valued by something, you're gonna identify with that and you're gonna go with that.
Also,
okay, so go ahead.
No. Thank you. We got a couple comments and questions coming through. I want to be able to get to them. You're watching the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Alinko, and we're talking dating the educated Black women. Of course, we feel free to share your opinion on the feed. For folks who are watching us on Facebook, please share it so we can together build our community through this topical issues. On WhatsApp, no, I'm saying not WhatsApp, YouTube as well. If you're watching, please go ahead and share it. Sahid, you want to comment on what Dr. Silky just said?
Yeah, and not just Dr. Silky alone. I think everyone on this panel has actually brought light and in different perspectives. But again, just to re-echo from my point of view, in this context, we're narrowing education down to study by the books and advancements of intellectual property from what we actually able to read from a professional standpoint. But education can actually be cut across, what I call book smart and street smart, if we go by the term of it. And Mac actually made a very strong point in that, with the fact that outside of just education, I mean, there are other complementary attributes and characteristics that obviously makes for a strong educated woman, as it were. And of course, like Silky said, I mean, personally, when it comes to the home, I mean, I'm married, I'm a father, and I've seen things from my perspective and also friends. It's always best to have a common interest. It's always best to have a common goal. Where in a relationship there is no agreeable vision, then of course there will always be a clash as to who's actually a champion in the cause. There's always a moment of strength in the man. There's always a moment of weakness in the man. Likewise, moment of strength in the woman and weakness in the woman. So, but it has to just find the balance has to be there. There's always a moment where the man has to take the lead. There's always a moment where he has to recognize the fact that in this scenario, the woman actually has the strength and should be given the opportunity to take the lead. But again, I would re-echo the fact that specifically within our community, the Black community, has this perception out there where the man actually has to take the lead. And is it coming from a cultural standpoint or religious standpoint? I think it has to do with a continuous struggle of economic, success and economic capability to sustain the home. And things have actually changed now, with not just from the angle of education, but more men are being more resourceful, more intentional in being the leader of the home and being more responsible for things, in my opinion. And this also could be seen as intimidating to women. So I think we should look at it from that angle of the women are educated, yes, but also the confidence level of men also sometimes actually intimidates to the point that the women now begins to see it as it's a tussle between whose authority should be over the other.
Sahid, yes or no? Do you believe that there should be a head in the family or no? I mean, in a household when it comes to relationship.
Absolutely. Yes, there has to.
There has to be a head. Okay, and who has to be the head? The man or the woman?
So, like I said, in this case, both. I would give both the opportunity, depending on the circumstance in which it is.
Okay, so depending on the circumstance. Okay, thanks for your point. Pastor Ata, I know you already have your ASST notes ready. I'll have you unleash them. But Mark, I'll tell you, Mark.
Yeah, just a few points. So statistically, right, the Black college-educated man in his lifetime is worth about $1.9 million, right? So that's just the economic value of a Black educated man, right? So when you really look at it statistically, $1.9 million does not seem like a lot of money. So from my perspective, right, you educate yourself, you progress to a level in society where society respects you for being a professional. But that is only worth $1.9 million if you look at the statistics, right? But what is it worth to you to have a functional family, to have good relations in your home, and to be happy intrinsically? So I think you have to separate this conversation from economic standpoint, as well as your general well-being, happiness, and the well-being of your community, right? So you may have persons that are wealthy that still commit crimes. You may have persons that are poor that are extremely happy in the way that they're living. So I think we have to make a disconnect between being educated, being professional, and having a healthy relationship. So that's the first point I want to make. The second point I want to make is, again, if you look at statistics, your home is worth about 70% of the value of your economic income, right? But you could have a home, you could have a house, and you could not have a home, right? So me as a man, I could work 9 to 5, have a house, and still feel empty when I get inside. But it's the role of the woman traditionally to make your house a home, right? She's going to bring the warmth in there. She's going to make sure that everything functions properly. So I think that you have to really dissect in your relationship what values you have, firstly, for your relationship, how intertwined those values are to a European concept of getting a degree, being a professional, and being educated, which has a time limit on it, right? We all go through semesters. That's 120 units or a year, which is so and so, but that doesn't mean that you know everything about life, right? You know something about one specific topic. So back to my original point, you have to balance the energies that both a man and a woman bring, and you have to figure out what the division of labor is going to be within your own relationship, and then place a value on that.
All right. So you are basically saying the same thing Sahid is saying.
Exactly.
Okay. So we have three now. Dr. Silky, Sahid, Mark saying, look, make it even, you know, there's no head. We figure it out as we go, depending on the circumstance. Pastor AKWETEY.
Okay. I hear what you guys say, but I'm very, very sure that Mr. Sahid, Mr. Mark, and Mr. Dr. Silky don't have a woman telling them how to live their lives. And I know that for a fact, number one. Number two, the last time you look into the Bible and a woman was equal to a man, we call that event the fall of man. That was in the garden. So right after the fall of man in the garden, if you read in the book of Genesis chapter 3, coming from verse 15, God started to pronounce the judgment on the serpent, on the woman, and on the man. When he pronounced judgment on the serpent, he says, okay, well, you messed up. What your punishment is going to be is that your dust is going to be your food from now on. You're going to crawl on your belly. There's going to be enmity between you and man. You're going to bite his heels and he's going to stomp your head. To the woman, what he said is that because you have done what you did, I'm going to greatly multiply your pain in childbearing. Not only that, but I'm going to make the man your head. Not only that, but then your desire shall be towards him forever. And to the man, his punishment was actually twofold. He said, because of you, Adam, and what he says, because you listened to your wife, what I'm punishing you with is that the earth is going to be cursed for your sake. It's going to be thorns and thistle coming out of this ground, and by the sweat of your brow shall you eat your bread. So those are the punishments that he made. So reiterating what he said to Eve, he says that not only are you going to have multiplication of pain in childbirth, but then you're also going to be under the man. He's going to be your head, to reiterate the power dynamic. And you are also going to have your desires on him. So why am I saying these things? There's a dynamic. As I said, I'm a pastor, and I know Mr. Dr. Silky thinks that it's a Eurocentric, but a European didn't write the Bible. It was written by Hebrews. So in this, we see that God has established a power structure. If you look at Ephesians 5 as well, it talks about the dynamic between husband and wife as it relates to Christ and the church. So he says that the woman should be subject to the man in all things, And it doesn't see that the man is the head of the household. No. The Bible doesn't simplify things as that much. It really complicates things for women, saying that the man is the head of the woman. So it's not he's the head of the household. He's the head of the woman. So where can a woman go, or where can a wife go that the man is not the head? He's the head everywhere.
But in this case, if you're just dating and you're not yet married, does this same rule apply, or this same?
No. Between. Yeah. Let me just answer that, and I'll go to my friend, Mr. Silky, Dr. Silky. So you can't demand that in a dating relationship. It's not possible. But what you can do is look at a woman who will be able to follow those kind of things. Okay. You see, I'm educated. While you're dating, I'm married to an educated woman. My wife and I graduated with bachelor's degree at the same exact time. We were classmates. So it wasn't like I was intimidated by her education. What I saw in her was a character. What I saw in her was a position of, I will follow you and I will support you. You see, what I hate to hear is that, you need to be strong so you can handle a strong black woman. No man wants a strong woman. Who wants to get beat up and wants to fight a woman? A woman is part of a man's strength. That's why I said from the beginning, let us not separate the two, but recognize that the two are part of a whole. A black man cannot be strong if he doesn't have a woman being strong with him. Period. So it's not a struggle for position or struggle for fight. It is the unity that brings us together. But even in that unity, there has to be a head. I've asked my cousin on several occasions, who's a nurse, making over $120,000, almost $150,000 because he's a travel nurse. And I said, okay, you're married to a man. The decision comes to where you're going to put your house and where you're going to live. Who's going to make that decision? He wants to live in Texas. You want to live in California. Who's going to have their way if there's equality?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can I respond to that now?
Yes.
Please do. Please do.
All right. One question, Pastor, without getting too political. Like, are you Christian? Christian?
Yes, sir.
He's a pastor.
So Pastor. So King James Version, I take it?
Oh, I use several versions, but mostly the New King James.
Okay. So King James white was a white guy that wrote that version. I'm just saying, we ain't got to get too political, but I just want to say King James Version, King James, England. We'll talk about that another episode. To answer the question about a single black man not being told what to do by a black woman every day, or I'll say this: any black man with a black mama has been told every day and controlled by a black woman. I'm still controlled by my mama. So any black man that has a relationship with his mama has been controlled and told and guided by a black woman. So that makes me an expert in being led and guided.
I think Dr. Silky, I don't mean to interrupt, but if you say control, do you think that mothers,
I was using it in the text in which he was saying control, like
I got you.
He was saying every single man. But yeah, I get it when he's saying in the dynamic of a marriage and then being single. I was just trying to make the analogy of yes, we have been controlled by black women in that sense. But to get into that, I still think to come from a religious standpoint is still missing who we are as humans, connected. Like, take religion outside of it. Just take religion completely out and just say us as Homo sapiens, right?
Yes.
We have to depend on one another.
Yes.
So that means that in that dynamic, I might come across a Homo sapien is stronger than I am, is more capable of doing something, and let's just say that Homo sapien happens to be a woman. I bring something to the table that the other Homo sapien doesn't. That dynamic works, and that's where the equality comes in, is that everybody brings something to the table. But in terms of like having a head of a household, I think that's where I say we get into the King James Eurocentric mindset of saying there has to be someone in control of someone else. So now we have to control our women. No,
we have to lead. We have to lead, not control. Lead, not control.
Well, no, not even lead, because we even said it using the Homo sapien analogy. You might come across one that can lead you somewhere out of danger, lead you to, and it might be a woman. It might. So in turn, you don't know who can lead who. You have to go with the dynamic of what you don't have.
Okay.
Whatever you don't have. And see, you and your wife were indoctrinated by the same doctrine. So then y'all are perfect for each other. So, so again, both of y'all found equal relatable thing, and then y'all said, and then she submitted to whatever that was that made y'all equal. So she had to agree, as a Homo sapien, she had to agree to go along with your mindset. So y'all found an equal playing field.
We got to find an equal.
That's all I'm saying.
We got to find an equal playing field. Dr. Silky, do you believe that religion or spirituality is or should be very essential in every relationship? Do you believe that?
Spirituality, yes, but again, it goes to not ostracizing everybody's religion. You have to find what's conducive to you.
Okay, that's fine. No, I just wanted to get that point out. So you believe that spirituality, but not necessarily religion, though. You believe spirituality,
not religion. Yes, but encompass religion, because I would say the only value that I find in religion, in the sense of the systematic thing that it is that it gives people hope, and that inspires people to keep trying, to keep living, to keep being more than what they are, to keep getting up every day. So in terms of the religion as the system that it is, I'm all for it. But in terms of a spirituality, in terms of discovering who you are, understanding generational trauma, connecting with us as beings, as kings and queens, black people, us as black men, that's more spiritual.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask a general question to you guys. From your own assessment, do you think that as Black people we are struggling in our relationships? Because the rate of divorce is high. We all know that. So let's put that aside. But even if you look beyond, if you look outside the marriage, traditional marriage, you think that just dating and having relationships with, fellow Black women is becoming more and more difficult. Is that an observation? Is that a general observation that we're seeing out there, or is the general assessment that we're good and everything seems to be nice and dandy? Mark.
So I would say that I think that it's a general struggle nowadays.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted a straightforward question response. I'll come back for your reason. For you to expand on that, Sahid.
Yes.
Okay, you think that we're having a general struggle, Dr. Silky?
Yeah.
You're not sure. Okay, good.
I'm not sure.
That's fine. If Pastor AKWETEY.
My brother, we are struggling.
Okay, good. Now, guys, you see the reason why, one of the reasons why we're doing this is that we want to be able to, improve on whatever that we're struggling with as a people, as a people want, and folks within the Black community as Black people. And so let's feel free to be open. Our ladies are listening to us; they'll ask their questions. But if we are struggling, if we have observed that we are struggling, Mark, from your as a man, why do you think men and women, Black men and women, are button heads nowadays, especially if both of them are educated?
Well, I'd say that you have instant gratification elsewhere, right? So you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have Twitter, Snapchat, you have everything that works against you trying to work out a problem. So if I have an issue with you, there are 50 million guys on my timeline, someone's in my DM, it's just 1 second away and you could get the kind of relief that you want. So I think it's a larger societal issue of what is the level of forbearance that Black individuals, men and women, are exhibiting nowadays to keep the relationship together. I think there's just more external social pressure now on relationships generally.
Okay, thank you. So somebody also said that all races are struggling relationship wise, but again, if you look at the divorce rate in the Hispanic community, in the Asian community, among Indians, Black people seem to be below, on the low side. And so if that's the case, we ought to be able to talk about it. I'll say, Sahid, you want to your take on this? You said we are struggling. From your own opinion, quickly, why do you think we're struggling a lot as Black people in relationships or in just dating?
Yeah, so first, to put a very clear term out, I mean, I don't see a struggle from a materialistic point of view. So it would be good if we actually sort of leave that out and really dig deeper into more critical, concerns. My position is we're having a lot of self-esteem challenge within our community on both sides. It's really not just about the male or just the female, but in general, the Black community, is dealing with a lot of self-esteem, our confidence level, our comfort in who we are as a people, as a person. Those are things that we're currently struggling with, which is now having a ripple effect on a whole lot of things that, we having to deal with every day.
Right. Thank you. Silky.
I agree with him wholeheartedly. That was well spoken. I like the way he did. He capitalized that. In terms of the Black woman and Black men butting heads, I think, like I said, it goes back historically to our existence in this country. That was the whole construct of us and our relationship, was to make sure that the Black man and Black women weren't together. So I feel, we're butting heads now, but it's for lack of understanding who we are as a people.
Understanding who we are as a people. Great point. Pastor AKWETEY. And then I'll go to, there are so many comments and questions, so we're going to go to our comments in a little bit. So viewers, we apologize that we haven't touched on your comments. yet, but we're definitely going to go to that. We just wanted to get a little bit more from the guys, and we will be going to them in a little bit. Pastor AKWETEY.
I'm going to begin with what Mr. Dr. Silky ended with. Understanding who we are as people.
Okay.
Now, there's something I always commonly say, that form defines function. I want you to really listen to that. Form defines function.
Okay.
So I don't take a hammer and mix my tea with it. I take a spoon and I mix my tea with a spoon. When I see a hammer, I use it to nail in a nail. So I can't take a hammer and use it as a spoon and take a spoon and use it as a hammer. I might be able to get some results, but it's not going to be effective. Why do I say this? A woman has a womb and she has breasts. A womb is to carry children. A breast is to feed and take care of the children. A man has none of those. A man has strong muscles. A man has strong bones. A man has the ability to be more endurant. So what does that tell us? That the workload is supposed to be for men. The famous man once said that pressure is not for hips, it's for shoulders. So listen, so we look around the world, okay? And it's not like we don't have examples. Mm-hmm. Look at the Asians. The Asians are very highly educated. Very, very highly educated, both the men and the women. Do we see the divorce rates and the non-married people as we see in the Black communities? The answer is no. Why? Because of their culture. If you look at the most sought after women in the whole entire world, it's Asian women, not because of their shape, not because of their beauty, but because of their humbleness and their willingness to submit to their man. And unfortunately, according to statistics, the Black woman is not so. Black women are very, very beautiful. I'm attracted to Black women more than anybody. But of course, I'm only attracted to one woman because I only have one wife. Yes. So the thing is that when we see Black women, I don't like to make generalizations, but this is played out through statistics. Right now, only 1 in 4 women is getting married of the African Americans. And we ask, why is that so? We look at the dynamics between Black men and Black women, and Black women, in most cases, see themselves as either equal or above Black men. And we don't see that in the other races. A Black man and a white and a Hispanic man are very, very comparable in this United States that we live in when it comes to income, when it comes to education. But you go and Maria is treating her husband with so much more respect. Her boyfriend with so much more respect than Ajua from my country or Keisha from America. So that thing is actually what men do not like. A man doesn't like to fight. What do men like? They want a beautiful woman. They want peace in their household. They want someone who can take care of their household. But Black women today are not exuding such qualities. They're exuding qualities that you like to see in your boardroom of executives, but they're not exuding the qualities that you want to see at home with someone taking care of your children. If you're a hard, respectable man who knows your role and who knows what you want for your family, you don't want another man. You want a woman with femininity who can nurture your children and raise them up, because you know you won't be there to do it. You are outside over there providing and protecting your family. So we can't have 2 people going out making money and being so aggressive, because it's going to affect our children. And I tell this to a lot of the young men that I counsel. Today, in today's day, the woman's pursuit of equality, pursuit of money, pursuit of power and authority has come at a cost. And that first sacrifice on that altar of power and authority is children. It is our children as Black people in America. It is our children. They are suffering more than anybody. So many children are being born out of wedlock, not having a father at home, not there to raise them. So many are being brought up by women who don't know what they're doing themselves. So we get a whole generation of men who are naturally soft, who naturally don't know how to deal with their emotions, who don't know how to lead as men. So this is what we are facing. So we can say all the nice things, oh, women should do this and women should do this, but your role is to raise the children. And now that they've not been raising the children properly, we see the result in the numbers today, the unemployment rate, what is going on with respectability, the single childhood, and the marriage rate. All these things are statistics that we can physically see as a result of what women think they are today as compared to what they thought they were yesterday.
Wow. Mark, yeah. you were giggling. So I want you to respond, and then Dr. Silky. Dr. Silky, your hand was up too. But
yeah, got a response too, by the way.
Well, no, I would say I 100% agree with Pastor in his analysis. But I think the confusion has come in where we believe that you can either be educated or be a caretaker, right?
Oh, no, you're right.
And that's really not the case. And what we see is, especially from a legal perspective, most of the case law worldwide now says that a woman who stays at home, who takes care of the family, has equal economic weight as men who go and work a 9 to 5, right?
Agreed.
So I think the mindset, the societal shift hasn't yet occurred, and a lot of professional women haven't realized that you don't have to define your success by having a degree and sitting and having a seat at the board table. You could define your success as our mothers used to define our success by having a child that's a doctor, or a child that's an accountant, or a child that's a lawyer. You know, most Caribbean families, most African families, the first thing that your mom or your dad wants to say is, hey, my kid is a doctor, my kid is an engineer, my kid is a scientist, my kid is an accountant. So I think there has been a value shift in the way that we view success as a Black family unit, right? And you don't have to define that success by being educated and having a degree. Yes, that's a plus. But I 100% concur with Pastor that a man should find a wife that supports him in the general family goal, because that's a broader cultural and society goal, which is to progress the Black community on an elevated level, right? And as long as you have that tension, whether it's intentional or not, that's being created by a Eurocentric or Anglocentric society focused on finance that Black people do not control, you will have division in the family unit.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Silky. Dr. Silky.
Man, I'm gonna work on us, Kings. I'm gonna work on us. Okay, first and foremost, let's take that form defines function, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
That is the same way those European people thought when they came and got us off Africa. Form defines function. They looked at us and said, man, they look real good working out there. They look at our women and said, man, they look real good to be subservient to us. That's a Eurocentric mindset. We cannot say form defines function. Submission should be a negotiation, not a prerequisite. So when you come to a woman and you want her to be a particular way for you, that's a negotiation. That's not a prerequisite to say you must lay down and give me children and do what I say and be my counterpart or be my backbone or from my rib, woman. You know, no, it's a negotiation. It's a negotiation of respect. The submission should come with respect. And that's just my think on it when you say form defines function, because that's the way the Europeans think about us. They think, oh, they look good singing. They look good dancing. They look good on a football field. They're built for it. You know, we expect that from them. You know, so when you start to say things like that and try to define our women and our people by it, then we start to look at our women should be subservient to us. And no, we should be trying to build them up so they build us up. And that's we gotta change our mindset into our ancestral mindset, and it ain't never been form defines function.
Awesome. Okay,
great. Go ahead.
Great point, Dr. Silky. I wanted to get Sahid in, but to just counter your not counter, but just to add a little bit to what you just said. I mean, you made reference to before the European came, and so just wanted to take us back a little bit. I mean, back in the traditional African culture or in the traditional African relationship, I think that submissiveness has always been something that has been with us. Actually, my great-great-grandmothers would call my great-fathers, the women will refer to the men as my lord. Let me give you an example. I'm an Ewe from the Volta region. The Ewe wife or the Ewe woman would refer to her man as my lord. Nyafeto in Ewe means my lord. The Akan would typically refer to their husbands or their husbands or significant as Mira. Mira in Akan means my lord. The Gans would say Inche means my lord, right? My master. So what I'm saying is that it's not like, I don't know if it's an idiocentric philosophy or theology. I just feel like being from an African, having seen this, our women, again, starting from my great-great-grandmother, my grandmother, and all of that, would treat the men in a way that felt like they were submitting. If they were, even if they weren't, the way they treated them and referred to them and addressed them look as though they were being subservient to them or submitting to them at least, right? So I feel like what Pastor Ate is saying, even though he's quoting the Bible, it's I've seen the culture display itself in this manner, and that's the only point I wanted to add. Add to what you said.
Brother King Alinko, where are you from originally?
I'm from Ghana.
Now, the language of Ghana, what is the dialect from historically?
Yeah, so the dialect, like I said, the dialect, in Ewe is for people of the Volta region is called Ewe. I'm
talking about pre-colonial.
Well, per history, I heard that the Ewe people, the Akan people, the Ga people all have some connection or lineage to the Hebrew people. I mean, like we are Hebrews, basically, like Israelites. I mean, basically, there's some history like that. To tell you exactly where my ancestors are from, originally before they found themselves finally in Ghana, I couldn't tell you. But again, my history tells me that somehow we are related to the Hebrews people, or we have the same lineage as the Hebrew people, basically. So that's the only little bit that I know. But the good point. I would have to do some research myself. But all I'm saying,
the only reason I say that is because I want to understand the origin of the definition, where the language definition and origin, because is that pre-colonial? Because a lot of them were
that's all
Portuguese or Spaniards.
No. You see, so the dialect that I mentioned they're not even European languages. These are pure African dialects. That's why I use the word dialect, actually. Right?
Understood.
Right. Yeah. And these are all colonial era. Okay.
Understood.
And again, if you go beyond the Ghanaian culture, other cultures, like if you go to the Yoruba, I mean, Sahid is Nigerian. If you go to Togo, other African countries, it's similar culture. The way the women relate to the men, again, it just seems as they're being submissive to their men, and the men in turn would have to love, provide, take care, and be there and love on the woman, so that has been the culture. But I think we have a lot of comments coming through. So
I would just say this one thing, and this is just for us as Black men. I would ask us to challenge our ideas of how do we have African queens who had dynasties that were more powerful than some African kings. How were those queens able to thrive and live and actually do our research and find out how these queens, these Black queens, were able to have these dynasties? Because they were able to lead men.
Yeah, of course. No, we've had several women that had to lead men. Yasantua, for instance, he led the Akan men against the British, and that's just one that I know in recent memory. Right, there are several women that have left. I think the argument is not the fact that women cannot lead at all.
No, not that. I'm just saying, just challenge the idea of asking, in reference to today.
Right. Okay, awesome. So Sierra has some comments. Let's as I said, we were going to go to our comments. We'll try and come back and see if we can continue with some of the intricacies of dating the educated Black women. Before we go to the comments, it's 7:23 p.m. CST. You're watching the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Alinko, and I'm here with my guest, Sahid Adeyele, Pastor Ate, and Pastor Ate AKWETEY AKRONG, and Attorney Mark Flowers, and then Dr. King Silky Jr. Booker. We're trying to, trash out some of our differences and see if we can navigate through the challenges that we have as Black people in our relationships. Dating, Ghana was colonized by European powers since the 1400s and became decolonized from Britain in the 1950s. Yes.
So that's a lot of Eurocentric doctrinization.
Correction point. Ghana was colonized in the 1400s. That's when the Portuguese first came to Ghana.
Exactly.
Colonization at that time. Colonization took place in the 1800s, at the latter part of 1700s. So to say that Ghana was colonized from 1400 to 1950 is quite erroneous.
Well, okay. Thank you, Sarah, for your comment. Plus, I understand that the idea or the culture of women referring to men the way I narrated was not an European idea. Again, if you studied African culture,
any culture,
Well, any culture. Okay.
Study any culture before the 1500s, and it has been the same. It's only after 1950s that we saw a change. I'm telling you.
Okay. And you know, and when you say that, you know, in the okay, let's try and get some comments. Here we have so Yaira says, I disagree with you. The one more marriages that are broken down or lost its value even in our Western African countries than most marriages out there. Okay, Yaira, thank you so much for your comment. Yes, there are broken marriages within the African culture as well. And so, yes, it's very, very true. But so thank you so much to Yaira for your comment. Everyone was decolonized by someone. Charles Anamudu. Yes, you're so right. You're so right. Even the
no, that statement should be everybody was colonized by white people.
But so even white people were colonized by
white people were colonized, yeah.
By who?
But well, white people.
The Moors, go to Sicily, Italy. Sicily, Italy was conquered by the Moors, who are actually black people. So if you look at Sicilian blood right now, they actually have somewhere between like about 10 to 25% black blood in them because of the black influence from the conquerors, the Moors.
Oh, oh man. Okay, we need another show. We need another historical show.
No, but historically, I mean, it's not only black people that have been colonized. We've had other, Asians. Everyone. We've had, the British have been everywhere. But we all understand that black people are not the only colonized race. Okay, so let's we have a couple of them here. Great show, LeSean. Thank you so much, LeSean, for joining us. Black G says, wow, good show, brother. Sana Alinko. But Tina says, I think they should define what is submission, because I think that's losing the fact that a woman can submit and be vulnerable to the relationship.
Okay,
that's a good point. That's a good point, actually.
I agree. And I would say that the submission should be defined by the individuals in the relationship. It comes down to the individual. I don't think submission should come with a list. It shouldn't come with a context in a book on submission. It's a negotiation. You have to understand what
generally though, Dr. Silky, do men have ego compared to men? I mean, sorry, women.
Do we have ego? Like, you mean ego issues?
Yes. Like, are we more egocentric than women? Our women, black women.
I think we are. I think I think we are, and we should not be.
Well, we didn't put that on ourselves. I think it's very instinctive, right? It's natural that men,
can I
work with our egos more.
Can I interject here?
I'll have you interject. Let me get a few more comments out. But I think we already saw this one. Ghana was colonized by hundreds of years ago, so the relationship between African men and women has been influenced by Eurocentric ideas of how men and women should relate to one another. Okay. So basically, Sierra, so are you saying that black people or African people have these relationship issues that we have now because of the European influence? And if that's the case, should it mean that we should do Sankofa? Like, go back to pre-colonization, or so what is it? What should we be doing? Because if we all have been affected by Eurocentric ideas, then who are we as a people? How should we define ourselves, and how should we define our own relationships? What did we have before the Europeans came? Was it better than this? If so, should we be doing Sankofa? So I guess that is an open question. Advocate Skelete says people are getting into marriages for wrong reasons. The breakdown of the family fabric and respect of culture is also a factor. Marriages are working in most African nations. Question is, what happens when they migrate to the West? That's where the breakdown begins. It's agreed and ulterior motives that is destroying the marriage fabric among our people in the West. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Advocate Salete. This one is from Delali Asanami. I'm a good sales and marketing guy. I would like to meet some lady who is an entrepreneur so I can help her market her product. I can give you See, I was even okay. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, he's a salesman.
Yeah. Dr. Silky for prenups. Yep. Tracy says preach, and then you have Tina says preach, Silky. Silky, not all black people have a history of as slaves. There are blacks outside the USA. This is from Bernick Faisal. This one is same person. Solid point, Mark. See if we can get a couple more here. There's so many of them. I'm trying to run through. LeSean says you can be strong. You can be a strong black educated woman and still submit and follow your man as long as he's leading you in the right direction.
Yes.
Okay. Strong point. Thank you so much for bringing that in. Milano says great point, Pastor Ate. And then he said, Mark, you can't disagree with that. I don't know which one was that. Brookman says, no, Emanuela Brookman says, man, oh man, I'm sure that was something that was said earlier. Let's be clear too, that this desirability of women often goes hand in hand with the economic power of their men.
No.
Asian women have become the most desirable women over time because their men are beating out white women in many educational and career domains. Black men won't get the submissiveness of black women, nor will their women be the most sought after until black men start competing economically with other men instead of their own women.
That is a complete and other. I can't call it. I will not call it a lie, but you are mistaken, my sister. You are mistaken.
I agree. Hey, I gotta give her big ups for that, yo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else?
Who
else agrees? Mark and Sahid.
Absolutely not.
No, Sahid and Mark, you all agree to this point?
Yeah, I think because women have such a short time frame to maximize their beauty, right? That they're gonna look for a man that has the most resources first and foremost. So I do agree in a certain sense with that point, that if you're a woman and you're beautiful from ages 18 to 30, right? That's your time frame. You have to look for the best catch,
She's saying black men are not gonna get submissive, that you're not going to get all of that, if you're not competing economically with, Asian men who are getting submissiveness from their women. I mean, you have to.
Let me. Can I?
To a point, I think it's a trade-off. Yeah,
it's a trade-off. Sahid.
Okay.
Now, I mean, I don't agree from the economical standpoint. You got to be on the continent to understand that there's a lot of successful, wealthy black men. But the issue here is how do we handle and manage our economic strength? That's what we need to improve on.
Okay, Pastor Sahid, Pastor AKWETEY, quickly.
My sister Sierra, I love you so much, but I think you're sadly mistaken. I think what you're trying to say is that black women would be more sought after if black men were doing better. I think that's what I'm getting from.
And I think black women would be
more submissive.
Exactly.
And that's why I said that black men and Hispanic men are very comparable when it comes to economics in the country. They're very, very comparable. And even though we're not comparable education-wise, but yet the culture of the Hispanics is not the same culture of the African Americans. The Hispanic women respect their men so much more, and they're so much more submissive, not because their men make more money, but because that's just naturally their culture. And the breakdown in the culture in the African American community is caused this lack of submission and this conflict between the men and women. You go to Hispanic women, there's no fight. But between men and women in the African American community, there's a fight. It has nothing to do with economics.
How about the African community, though, Pastor AKWETEY? There's a lot of marriage breakups and confusion and separation in the African community in the diaspora nowadays. You can attest to it.
I 100% agree. And what I would say is that it is Western influence. The whole Western influence that my brother, Dr. Silky, is trying to say is attributing to what we naturally hold as men and women is actually what is causing the breakdown today. Because in Western civilization, there's so much more of empowerment of women and stripping away the power of man that is creating this dynamic change in men and women. Men have traditionally been the same from time immemorial. We have been exactly the same. The only change that has taken place is after World War II, and the women have gotten more rights, more responsibilities, more money, and now they believe that they're more than what they actually are, which is our power, our strength, our help. As I said, I don't want to make it a we against them situation. It is an us together.
Yeah, but see,
Okay.
that's where the conversation starts and that's why I say we have to understand the dynamic of what we're saying here. You said the key word, power. Why is it a power struggle in a relationship? Like, why do we have to have power over someone? That's the same way we were brought to this country. Like, we have adopted this it's almost in our fabric of who we are as beings. Like, why do we have to have power over someone? Because that is a very doministic mindset that we have been indoctrinated with.
You cannot have leadership without power. You
Okay.
can't call yourself a leader if there's no power. If there's no power for anybody, then there's no leadership.
How can you be a leader if no one wants to follow you? And you can't lead.
So that's where the confusion comes in. If you want to be a leader because you think that intrinsically, naturally or intuitively, you ought to be the leader, and nobody wants to follow you, then there is a break in relationship, because whoever you want to follow you is not following you. And so now you, being the leader, says, okay, then I'm going to leave. I'm going to be by myself because I don't have anybody following me. Right?
Yeah,
I guess
you can only be a leader in any household if you get someone to follow you. That means you have to get your wife to follow you. You have to get your children to follow you. You have to get people to go along with you. So when you talk about following someone, that has to be negotiated in a way that it makes someone want to submit to you. But coming in with, there should be a prerequisite of power. There should be no prerequisite of power, because that's how we were brought to here. And we have yes, it is. It's the having domination over another person, having control and dominating someone else. That is how we were brought here.
Please don't misconstrue the relationship between man and wife and a master and a slave. But marriage is not slavery. Marriage is not slavery.
But I think that's the indoctrination of standing up there and saying I do, exchanging rings is a Eurocentric tradition and practice. And so when you take on that Eurocentric practice, you're taking it on the indoctrination and everything that came with it. So that's domination, that's power, that's control, that's you will submit to me. You are my second half, not you are my equal. So that's why I said when in a relationship, it should be equal, but then you should talk about equity in the relationship, and what she has that uplifts you, what you have that uplifts her, what you don't want to deal with, what she don't want to deal with. Equity.
So, Dr. Silky, I know you said before, you said that was, you keep referring to the Eurocentric idea, which is, great. That's your opinion. But I also want to remind us that the African had a way of doing things, right? Black people, we were already leading.
We were getting married before the white man,
right? We were providing, we were protecting, we're doing all of these things. So actually, what it has been turned to now is the Eurocentric, way of doing things. But prior to that, we actually had this format that Pastor Ate is alluding to, right? The biblical way of getting married, or even if you meet a woman. So typically in Africa, if you meet a lady, or if you're dating a lady, you dare not get her pregnant before you get married to her. One is as a respect to her and her family and to your family. Two, you got to make sure that one of the reasons why you can't get her pregnant is because you have to be economically very sound. Three, you have to pay her dowry, honor her, respect, and all of that.
Permission from her parents.
Again, exactly. Firstly, permission from her parents. You can't even take her home until you go to talk to your parents about, hey, I met this lady, can I bring her home? I met this guy, can I bring her home? So we had this type of structures in place. And again, I think one of the reasons why we did all of these things is to place that value and premium on the women, right? So that by the time you bring her home, you have provided a safe environment for her, you have honored her, and you have shown that you can provide a path for her to follow, or at least provide an environment for her to thrive in, right? And I think that's where that instinctive leadership thing kind of stems for the Black man. So So I don't think that it was a European that kind of indoctrinated us in behaving this way. There was already a pattern. Is what I'm saying, Dr. Silky.
I got you.
So that attitude to lead was already there, and because you've done all this for the woman, she kind of feels honored and wants to follow your lead automatically because you've gone through all this process for her. You feel me?
Yeah. Right. I'm 100% with you. I'm 100% with you on that.
Thank you. Let's get some more points so that our audience don't. Okay, so Sahid, I agree. It has been passed down from past generations. We have to uplift our people, and it starts with the black men in the homes, showing their sons what it means to love a black man, a black woman, and vice versa. Nowadays, other races are placing more value in black women than black men. This is why we go outside our race and divide our own race. Now,
which races are those? Which races are those?
Well, she said this is why we go outside our race. I mean, which is outside the white.
Statistically, black women are the least likely to date or marry outside their race. So what she's saying is actually false. They're the least likely.
But they date outside though. I mean,
they actually do not.
By the way, Pastor, do we know who's conducting the statistics? We got to read, in between the line on a lot of these things. We have to speak for ourselves. We have to amplify ourselves. We need to get a whole lot of this information that is put out there. I mean, there are a couple of things, Dr. Silk is saying, which, I'm careful not to agree 100%, but again, communication. If we do not basically hone and actually investigate or research this information that we all actually have privilege to, we would not be able to speak from an informed perspective. Okay. I mean, Senator just said some of the things right now with regards to Africa. I mean, the culture has always been there. Pre-colonization, we've always had a lifestyle, an attitude that always, embodies the need for celebrating families, upholding our women, supporting them. And the women have always respected the men because of these cultural values that we actually earn. The question now is, yes, we're actually trying to question if the women do respect the men. But again, are the men putting themselves in a position to be respected by women in the current age? This is also part of the conversation we need to have tonight. Okay. I mean, some of us here are basically, fathers. We've got daughters. I wouldn't be expecting my daughter to basically get married to someone who's actually of less influence not in terms of material possessions now, but in terms of our level of excitement about life and wanting to explore life and what to view. So we have to carefully navigate this, not necessarily to put down the women, but also to challenge the men that, we have to step up, our values, we have to step up our confidence level. And we need to also show that we're really, there to support and help our women to grow even better than we met them.
Awesome. Thank you. Great point. We have to be clear about the dynamics of many African American communities. The reality is that African American women, generally speaking, do not have the protection of their men. African American women protect their men in this country more than black men protect them because African American women have been conditioned to believe that the black man's issue takes precedence over their own. There may be a difference between the ways in which African American and African American men generally. I think it continues, but I don't know. She's making a good point here. Anybody wants to comment?
I guess Dr. Silky has a troop of female bodyguards standing outside.
I don't even. I promise, Kings. I don't even know her. I don't even know who Sarah Miller is, but whoever she is, she's speaking some truth. I'm just gonna say that
I don't know about truth, but she's saying something.
Can you put her comment? Yeah. I agree with the reality speaking. Yes, because if you look at when Trayvon Martin died, when Sandra Bland died, when and now like even in Oregon right now, there's a young man, Barry Washington Jr., that just got killed by a white man for giving his wife a compliment or his girlfriend a compliment. It is always normally the black women who are always out there first to protest and to bring acknowledgement of what's going on and that is the protection because they are black mothers. And they're taking us and they're killing us. And it's normally the black mothers that are out there and they get the armies of people behind them. And so that's the protection that I feel like she's speaking to. And so I have to commend her on that, because that is the truth. And until Black men step up, and when something happens that to us in this country, and we step outside of our comfort zones and be lions in the sense of being the protectors and showing that we're not going to tolerate it and put up with it, then I think we get that role as the protectors. But I have to commend her on what she's saying. She's speaking truth.
Awesome. Let's try to run through a few of them, and then we can get back to some questions. Okay, Sierra is on today. She still has a few in the pipeline for Pastor AKWETEY. So get ready, Pastor AKWETEY.
Oh, I'm always ready. I stay ready.
Thank God for your disclaimer, Pastor AKWETEY. Unfortunately, Black men do not allow other races to disrespect our Black women, verbally and sexually. Black men have learned and practiced disrespecting Black women instead of building them up. I believe as God's people and made from God, we need to love and respect each other despite our sex. We are all made in God's image, in the image of God, and we belong to Him. Do you think that Black men, guys, do you think that Black men respect Black women enough? I wouldn't say only, not just in America, but Pastor Ate, as an African, looking at our culture here, looking at our community here in the diaspora and in Africa, do you think that we have done well as Black men in respecting our women?
Okay, I want to expand before I come close to your point. Okay. So many times when we're analyzing African American men, we take it inside like a vacuum, and we tend to think that Black men are different than other men. In my experience, I was in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years, so I was actually living with people of other races. I lived with them, Mexicans and white people from different places in this country.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. I'm a veteran too.
I lived with them. And what I found out, generally, we are the same. When it comes to disrespecting women, men across the board disrespect women. Do you believe that Black men have less respect for white women and for Black women than white men for white women? And in general, it's across the same. If you actually did studies, maybe there might be a little bit difference, but nothing that is actually going to be drastically, significantly different.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is, when it comes to respecting women, and I hate to say this, and I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this one, but especially in our African American community, women are not presenting themselves in a respectable manner. Well, one thing I was very, very surprised to see last time was one of the music awards, and they had what was it, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, and they did a performance that was so provocative and so disgusting to me that my sons, a 7-year-old and 4-year-old, can't watch that on regular TV. They can't watch it on regular TV. And who do these people? They are idolized as the speakers for women and Black women in America. When women get on TV and get on Instagram, what do they want to do? They want to look exactly like this, which is not respectable. Let me tell you something. Go to cultures where women are respected more, and those cultures have women who are showing themselves to be respectable. I always want to point to the Asians. The Asians don't dress the way Black women dress. They're more educated, but how do they dress? How do they relate? We act like we need statistics and stats to show us what is right. We see it naturally. So if a woman is behaving in a disrespectful manner, as a man, if he's behaving in a disrespectful manner, then the person doesn't command respect. And earlier, one of the points that we're making that, men should do this, men should do this. Listen, in this country, no woman is forced to marry a man. If you see a man that is respectable, marry him, because you are actually having the ability to make that choice. In other countries in the world, women do not have that choice, and they have to live with it, because in those countries, they don't get divorced at all. It's against their cultural norms. So women have the ability to choose their man. So don't say a man needs to be this before I submit to him. You find a man and submit to him because he's somebody who's respectable. You don't have to submit to anybody. But if you're choosing a man to be with as a husband, that means you have evaluated that man, you have selected that man, and found that man to be fit. So after you've made that choice, don't say, no, I don't want to submit because he's not a respectable man. Then why'd you marry him?
Right.
Why are you dating him?
Wow, great. Thank you so much, guys. We have a few ones coming through, but the points that Dr. Pastor AKWETEY just made, Sahid and Mark, I want you to chime in on this, but I'll take your viewpoint first, Dr. Silky. You think that pop culture, or I'll say African American rap artists, have overly sexualized Black women? And I think now it's trickled down to Africa because a lot of African youth, especially in the pop culture world or in the secular world, look up to the African American pop culture a lot. They copy and absorb directly. And if you watch some of the videos in African American in the African American pop culture, it's so provocative, and the way the women are being displayed and portrayed and treated in those videos, it sends some type of message to even the young ones, young boys, right? And again, you see that in African musical videos these days. To Pastor, my last point, to Pastor AKWETEY's point, I was watching Thames, the lady who did that music, that Essence video with Wizkid. I don't know that lady, but she just gained my utmost respect. I admire her so much, just because I've seen a couple of her clips now. I think they did a concert recently, and the way she portrays herself, her dress code, the way she carries herself on stage, she's all covered. Even though she's doing pop culture and she's singing and she's with the fans and she's with the youth, she's all covered. And so at least I got a sigh of relief that at least there are still some Black women out there, or African young ladies out there, who are in pop culture, who are making it big, and going to the biggest heights in pop culture or entertainment or in success, but can still maintain some level of decency by covering yourselves. I don't think that men, we want to be seeing Black women, a lot of times on social media, always half naked.
We want to see it, but we don't want to marry it.
I mean, I don't want to see Black women always all the time naked on social media. I mean, it's not. It is nice, but over time you just get tired of it, and then it become meaningless. So I just want to say big ups to you, Thames, for keeping your decency, even though you're in pop culture. I really respect you. You are having a very positive impact on our generation, the younger generation. Dr. Silky, to this point, do you think that as Black men we could do better in the way we portray Black women? Because we ought to elevate them, and we have to show the way. And are we doing that when it comes to pop culture?
Definitely. And more point to the pastor's saying is, like, we want to see it, but we don't want to marry it. The fact that we want to see it is what sensationalizes it. So I think that historically Black women have always been sexualized in this country, and it's just evolved to what we saw on the award shows now. So until we get into a mindset as Black men that we don't want to see it, then that will change. I think that then you start to influence. But when you say we want to see it, but we don't want to marry it, the fact that they know we want to see it is what sensationalizes.
No, but
so we are men. We are men. We are naturally going to want to see
that. Man,
but what I'm saying
would be glad to see a woman's naked picture or body on social media. Any man. It doesn't matter if you from president to green or blue or white. It doesn't matter your color. It's just natural with us, right?
Right.
If you put it in front of us, we're gonna see it. Also,
so if we're gonna take that viewpoint on it, then why are we labeling it as something that we should?
No. The question I asked you is that, are we Black men, okay? Because we make these videos and we portray these ladies in these videos this way. We actually have them dressed this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you need a job, I want the video to look this way, and you have to shake this way. You have to be almost naked, right? So that's what I'm saying. I don't think we have to be portraying our women in this manner.
And that's what I'm saying is, but now you're talking about economics, and until we stop buying it, it's gonna be like that. We contribute to it. We fund it. The fact that we like to look at it, but we don't want to marry it, is why we can't have, conversations like this in church. We
gotta just stop. We gotta just stop portraying them like that, because any man will look if you put it in front of him. Okay, any man.
I mean, that's us as humans. We are attracted to each other naturally.
No, we are attracted to women. We're not attracted to each other as men. We are attracted to women.
You know what I mean? Hey. Easter. Hey, I'm talking about, like, the Homo sapien experience.
Oh my God.
to
Okay,
be
Char, we have a
connected
call on
in
the
a-
line. Can you tell us why you're calling, please?
Yes, I'm calling because I'm watching the show and I want to comment on all this stuff.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, please go ahead.
So, there's so many places I can start with this. So I'll start with the elephant in the room, which I agree with Dr. Silky. Men are profiting off of making money off of sexualizing women in general, period. That doesn't change. Every single day, every ad you look at, and that doesn't go without anything. So in order to change that, if you don't speak up and say, well, I'm not going to fund this anymore. I'm not going to put my money into this anymore. It's not going to say that you're not going to see it. But if you're spending the money for it, you're giving the money to all of that, then that means you encourage the behavior. It's not going to stop. It's being played on the radio. It's being played. It's even in cartoons. So
whose fault is it? Whose fault is it, Char?
Whose fault is it?
Yeah.
Ours.
Who? You say ours? Men, black women, black men?
No, us as a people.
Well,
us
but who's putting
the
videos? Who is creating the content of naked black women?
The content
of naked black women.
Naked black women, I would say it didn't come from somewhere. If you pitch that idea, and that's her manager pitching the idea, which is probably a man, it's not a woman, pitching the idea saying, hey, well, if you sell all this money, if you are less clothed, then you're going to make this amount of money. Look at Lil' Kim. If you look at Lil' Kim from the time she came into the game when she was a rap artist, she had to fit in with the men. She came in and then they had an epiphany. They said, if you do this, you're going to do this. She figured if she was raunchy enough, she would sell records. That's what she did. Now, she wants to make more money. She had to change how she looked.
Char and Dr. Silky, I'm sure y'all, since you're talking about Lil' Kim, y'all grew up in the 90s. Mary J. Blige, yes. Escape, SWV, they all had their clothes on. Mary J. was, Da Brat was rapping, they had their clothes on.
Mary J. was naked too.
Oh, no, not as we see today. No, but not as much as what we're seeing today.
Dr. Silky.
So,
because he's a grown adult.
Okay, no, but okay.
That's a difference in maturity.
Okay, so the level of nakedness from SWV to Escape to some of these people that I mentioned, right? It's not as what we're seeing today. Right?
No, because it's amped up now. It's more, it's the agenda.
That's
the agenda is one thing. The agenda is if you push this sex, it will sell.
Right.
If you do this, you will make, I need you to get your body implants done. I need you to change your body. I need you to change your whole image to look like a certain person.
Brandy and Monica, they were all selling records and they were not naked.
Now,
they were making money. They were still making money then.
Yes, they do.
Right. Back then, but like I said, back then, all these female artists were making money, ton of money, right? In our musical
mindset. But at the same time, if they're being told to do certain things, they're either going to.
And who's telling them? Black men, right? Black men making all these videos.
Yes.
Good. That's what I'm saying. That if black men can, we ought to do a lot of work in that regard. We don't have to make our women go that naked to make the money for them, because what we are saying is that they can still make money without all of that.
Yeah, but now you
not as much. Not as much.
Be as popular, and that's the bottom line. They're not going to be as popular.
I agree with the caller.
If we have less of it, everybody will get used to it. If we have less of it, everybody will get used to it. But the thing is that if you keep feeding us with, the people with, all this nakedness, they are used to it. And if you're not stopping, they'll just keep craving for more. I think that we have to own it. There's a responsibility.
You know why we're not going to get less?
I think there's a responsibility lies on the black men to say, look, if we are saying our women are being disrespected, or if there's a general notion that our women are being disrespected or are not honored enough, then we as Black men have to take that responsibility and say, what can we do better, right? And so if you are an entertainer, or if you're in the music industry, or you're a blogger or a social commentator, you need to add your voice and say, we ought to change this culture. Like Pastor AKWETEY said, I don't see a lot of, Asian movies or Asian music with a whole bunch of their women being displayed the way we do.
Well, I can tell you this. I've been to Asia, and yes, I've been over there, and they got just as much.
Other races are not displaying their women like that. Why are we?
Yes, they are. I've been over there. In Korea, they do. In Japan, they do.
Because now it's everywhere. Okay, now it's everywhere.
They do.
Show me.
He's seen it with his own eyes.
in HD, in HD.
Show me how many mainstream. Show me how many. Show me today how many mainstream.
You're not gonna see it on an Asian level, because that is a whole different culture. Now,
okay, that's a whole different culture. We have that culture too as Black people.
Wait though, don't make any mistake that they don't emulate what it is that we do. They definitely emulate what it is.
Everybody emulates what is good. That's why I gave you the reference. Everybody's emulating pop culture, and that's what I'm saying. If we can look at pop culture and take away some of the negatives that's not helping us, we can change this world in a better way. We can have a better impact. More so, have a better look of everybody on the Black woman.
So who's controlling the pop culture? Let's talk about that.
It starts from
white men.
It starts from somewhere.
Because
okay,
the mindset is your job is to get signed. So you're going to do whatever it is to do what you got to do to get that money, because you're chasing the bag.
Okay, thank you.
So if you're not chasing the bag anymore, your whole problem is, if I decide I want to rebel and I don't want to do that, that is a whole problem.
Okay, I understand. On this point, it looks like we're not taking the responsibility. We're not talking in the right direction of taking responsibility. We're blaming on everybody that's making us do it. And I think that we can do something about it.
Who controls your money? You don't control your money.
But you also have.
Did you sign that contract? You're signing your life away. Period.
Okay.
That queen is speaking truth.
Everybody signs the contract.
Show me all your plastic goods. You're going to do exactly that.
No,
because you signed up for that.
No, I think that we have an option not to necessarily sign these contracts that makes a ton of Black women go naked on TV and causes everyone to look down on Black women the way it is now, because we are helping the narrative. Okay, so this is where you and I agree, but it's fine. We agree to disagree, and that is how we build our community. We need to keep these conversations going. But I sincerely believe that regardless of who controls the money or media, we can do something. We can change the narrative in our own way. We can try to do something about it, especially when it comes to protecting Black women's image. And I would like to take the next caller. Charles, thank you so much for contributing. We go past. Yes. We're going past our time. But I didn't open the phone line, guys. There's a lot to talk about, but we will. If the gentlemen have some time, we can, go over a little bit, take a few more comments or questions, take a few more points. If you want to ring and share your viewpoint, it's 815-277-5047. 815-277-5047. Anybody wants to contribute? Quickly, because of time, Sahid, you wanted to make a comment, and then we can take other comments too.
Yeah, just a few things. So I want to basically say first, thank you to Pastor for putting clarity to the fact that when it comes to women, our culture isn't the only culture that actually disrespects women. It's actually across virtually all cultures for what it is. So we need to really amplify that. Now, the question is it a crime that we have our women more vocal than other cultures? I don't think so. I really pride myself as a Black man that, we have Black women being more vocal than
not vocal. It's about the sexuality.
Yeah, hold on, Liko. I'm gonna don't get it wrong. You're mixing it up. We basically have our women being more vocal to express themselves than a lot of other cultures. Now, in terms of representation, I think the entertainment industry is a wrong reference for us to actually use to define, to start with, because you would recall I said something earlier on with regards to the statement that was made about economic, strength. What we need to do is to manage our economic capabilities better. Our resources we need to manage better. We do not control the entertainment industry. They're actually set, fundamental criteria and expectation. If you look back to music, the music industry, most of our songs, which we basically said is owned by the black people, that actually is provocative. These songs were actually, songs created by individuals who were basically just trying to figure life out, basically survive. So they will do anything whatsoever just to actually find economic success. We have all the genres that we say are basically black-owned genres. I mean, when we go back and research those genres, we can see it was never provocative. They were actually good music, good content. So we need to understand, if we have to reference, the likes of pop or hip-hop, it came from a perspective of survival. So people did, those individuals that actually put that forward did whatever it is for them to actually survive. And that was the only way.
So we survive on the back of our women.
No.
Well, so it's not just right now the spotlight is being put a lot on the women, but there were other elements that also actually contributed towards.
Yes, but the topic today is the topic today is related to the protection that black men can give to the black women, or the responsibility of the black man in protecting the image of the black woman when it comes to sexuality. Because one of the ways that the black woman is being disrespected is because of all this overly sexual content that we see on social media and on TV.
Right, and not to cut you off, Aliko. So you said it right. So what we need to do to counter that is we need to celebrate more of our black women that are entertainment related. There are a lot of black successful women who also have the equivalent of other races, you understand, that are not being celebrated. That's what we need to amplify.
Of course, we ought to amplify that, but that is not the problem. The problem is now where black women are doing well. The black women that are doing well, awesome, we're celebrating that. The problem is where I want us to focus on. I want us to deal with where we can have some control, where we have contributed to the problem is what I'm talking about. And our contribution here is some of the things that we have all mentioned. Dr. Silky and Mark, Attorney Mark, you have been watching keenly, listening keenly. Your quick comments. Pastor AKWETEY is always ready with his missile. So
real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into blaming black women for over sexualizing or making them the picture.
No, I wasn't blaming black women. I was blaming more black men
of over sexualizing, because that's not
no. Get a point. Let's be correct here. I was blaming more of black men of over sexualizing black.
It's not even a blame. It's not a blaming thing.
Okay,
like I don't think anybody when you talk about how unity and unifying us, we have to get out of blaming each other for being a part of this. I understand. Okay. Yes. So that's just no, it's not their fault and it's not our fault. What we have to understand is we are all needed. Like we need everybody from the stripper to the president. Like you need everybody, and finding value in all of our people, regardless to what they do or what they choose to do with their life, is how you unify us, and that's how we start to find value in black women. It ain't got nothing to do with the sexuality or sexualizing and none of that, because we didn't create the system. We didn't create nothing that we are a part of right now. But what we can do is understand how to unify us within this system that brought us into it. So we need everybody from the girl on the street to the girl in the executive office. All of them have value. They all need it. We need all of them.
Yes.
And until we start to value the girl on the street as much as we value the black woman in the executive office, there's always going to be a divide. So I come from, it ain't no secret, I probably come from a more street environment, but I've also educated myself to understand historically who I am and where I fit into the bigger picture and scope of things. And I understand that everybody's needed. So it ain't just a black or a white thing. We are now at a point where everybody has to come to a point of seeing all of our cultural differences and how we can make them more equitable amongst each other. But what we as black people have to first stop categorizing and putting each other into certain particular social structure categories and start needing everybody, each and every last one of us, from the girl on the street to the girl up at the White House. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. We need everybody. Right. Same thing with our black men. We got them cracked out. We got them in prison. We got them, not taking care of kids. Where it's a historical, traumatic mindset. It's a traumatic. We are traumatized by a lot of things that we need to heal from, and we have to stop blaming each other and start looking at each other as how do we heal each other. And once we get to that, we good. You'll start seeing value in everybody.
The reason why we had this platform and brought all men is to get our perspective and how we feel about women when it comes to dating. And we have had this conversation. We have tried to dialogue on it from our perspectives, and so when it comes to so I get your point. That I want to stand on is accountability and responsibility. We need everybody. We got to unite everybody. But where that we find maybe some fault as black men in some of the things that we can do towards our society or for our black women, that's what I'm trying to stress on, that as black men, could we do more in protecting the image of our black women?
And I will say this, as my last point. Women identify with their experience. So until we give black women a different experience, when can we expect them to identify us? We have to give women an experience that they feel valued. Then they will start to identify with us. And that's what we have to start with. Give women something that they identify with, and then that experience is what they will identify with.
So that's the leadership thing then, right?
No, not necessarily. I'm up. Yeah, because see, leadership. Understanding leadership. If you understand leadership,
if you said giving them something, you were taking the initiative to provide something for them to identify with. That is right. You.
But see, in order for me to learn that, guess what? I have to follow. So I can't be a leader until you learn followership. An example. But I was
example from who though?
Somebody that I respected, that made me identify with an experience that was related.
Another man, right? Another man who did the same.
No. It was, if you want to be truthful, it was black women that saved me. And every aspect of my life has been about a black woman that came along.
I was raised by a single parent, right? As my mom, and the four of us. So I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, what I was trying to pin you at is when you talked about providing the women something that they can identify with them, and that's powerful. But what I'm saying is that that's something we got to create as black men. We got to come up with that. And that is where the leadership, that instinctive leadership attitude, or
100%.
That is what I was trying to allude to, my brother. So you have it. You just don't want to
agree. Oh no! I knew you were trying to get me down that rabbit hole. No. Guys, they ain't gonna catch me up.
You forgot to cut it up on that one.
Hey, Attorney Mark, I know you wanted to say something. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to. There are a lot of things that were going on. Everyone can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I just want to say that you have to put everything in context. So there was the distinction between the African American view on women, black women, and the African view. So I think you just have to look at it from different levels. You have the household level, you have the community level, and then you have the national level. And in America, black men do not control the institutions, right? So you don't control the banks, you don't control the courts, you don't control the police force. And where you see a lot of social tension in Black America is where the black man looks weak, right? So we look weak before the media. We look weak in the situation before the courts. We look weak in all these areas that black men do not control in America. But in Africa, in the Caribbean, and other black nations that are independent, black men actually control the narrative at an institutional level. In the church, in the courts, in the banks. And I think you will see a difference in culture that's pervading at the institutional level, right? So you have to first have the institutional power, because that's the nexus, that's the web essentially that brings together your community. So if black men are seeing, black lives being taken unnecessarily in the court system, upholding that, or blacks being disproportionately not granted financing, or blacks having a difficult time getting into upper level institutions, if we see these things, then it automatically puts us in a weaker position with respect to black women, right? So it's automatically an uphill battle. And my perspective from the Caribbean is a lot different than a lot of what African Americans see in America, because in the Caribbean, when you walk around, you see, predominantly black politicians. Most of the cases come down on the way. You don't see black violence in the streets. You don't see courts upholding precedents where we have to have a Black Lives Matter movement, or we have to have a Me Too movement, or we have to have all these things that create social tension. And I think a part of that plays into how the relationship between the man and the woman is pacified in the household, right? Okay. So if the black women in America sees the man constantly being downgraded in society, that's gonna play a role in how she sees him in the house. And it's an uphill battle for you as a black man in America if you have to deal with that both externally and internally. Okay. Right? So I think I wanted to put the conversation in historical and cultural context, because in Africa and the Caribbean, there are a lot different social issues that are facing the black man. They make him stronger within his household, and that may allow women to be more submissive, right? Right. So that was the first point. And then the second point, I think, dealt with the lead. I think we could generally phrase it as who is the lead of the household, right? So my whole analysis on that is you have to have a lead. I agree with Pastor that there has to be a lead in the household, but there has to be collaboration, because nobody knows everything about everything, as I said earlier, right? So the male may set the tone for how he wants the family to develop. He may say that I think that this is right, I think that this is wrong, right? But you collaborate on that, and you add different parts to the equation. Yeah. And as I said earlier, it shouldn't be mutually exclusive. Because you're educated doesn't mean that you as a woman should not submit in certain aspects to your man, because education is continuous. You have a 4-year degree, but what your degree teaches you is really to learn, distill information, to build upon your knowledge, right? Nobody who has a 4-year degree stops learning after they get a degree. Right. And that's the same that relationships should work in the household. Once you have your building blocks, this is your role, this is my role, this is what we naturally are good at, then you should build on it, refine it, and exude that in your community to create a stronger black community. And so you see things occurring with black leaders like Martin Luther King, Barack Obama. They had that refinement within their household, firstly, that allowed them to project their principles on a broader level, on an institutional level. And that's the kind of strength that I think we need to develop in the black community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well said. Well said.
I love
well
preach
said.
King. Preach King.
Really appreciate it. We'll take a few more comments. If you want to call in before we close today's episode, it's 815-277-5047. We didn't even have time to do any commercial. Wow.
I need Brother Mark as my spokesperson, because I'm real amped up. I need his voice. He's real calm and smooth. He's like, you said everything. Like, I like the way you come across. Real, I like that. I like
awesome.
That.
That means
he's from the Caribbean. That's how they are.
I like that. I like that.
So you're saying the Caribbeans are smooth?
They're smooth and chill.
I know, at least. Oh yeah, he laid it out there.
Awesome. With all those beach and all those calm waters, we understand why you're cool. Thanks for sharing, bro. A few more comments. Watch Bollywood movies and see skimpy dresses in their movies. There are more prostitutes in India than anywhere in the world. You guys have missed the point and playing the blame game. Advocate, thank you so much. I don't think we missed the point. It's a holistic conversation. Once you start talking about relationships, it just cuts across. So, but thanks for your viewpoint. Really adds up to what we're doing here. Really much appreciated. Dean says absolutely nobody is in a cave. And LeSean says, I lived in Asia for over 10 years and was married to an Asian woman. And the pastor 100% is correct. Thank you. And
check is in the mail, LaShawn. The check is in the mail, okay?
I like that.
Yaira says, it has. Black men wouldn't give respect to their own black women. Is this maybe an overly generalization of Yaira's point? I don't think that black men don't necessarily respect black women. I think that we can do better in the way we handle our women and portray them. There's a culture within the African culture. There is a way women are looked at, and sometimes it's not progressive. I would say that it's not always progressive the way the African man views his women. And I think that that's a different conversation to be had, but of course it ties into this. The African, I know we have a culture, we have a tradition and the way we do things, but we need to look at how women are treated. And as an African man, I know this firsthand. And Pastor AKWETEY, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. We ought to look at that as African men and treat our women better in Africa, okay, and within the.
How do I get Tracy Steele on my side? I want Tracy Steele on my side of
she says, let's see if Tracy comes through for you. There are a few ones here.
I want Tracy Steele on my side.
That is the black man's responsibility to control the image of the black women's sexuality. Imagination of the black men's sexuality. Oh, that's a question. Is it men who are posting sexual type contents to their social media? Well, I think it's both. Lately, if you go on a lot of this lady's social media, even on the Ghana social media pages, a lot of these young ladies find it very comfortable in posting nude pictures. And I'm not saying guys don't do it too, but most of these naked pictures that I see are on like either celebrity women or just young ladies who are just being on social media. And so I think both ways, we all do it. And again, we can keep the conversation going on in our homes to see what works best for us. But either way, we can do better as a people and not put a lot of content out there that necessarily does not portray our women, in the most respectful way or in the most honored way. Yes, other cultures can do it. They can show content, but I feel like if we want to, I think we want to protect our women, our black women more. So it will only help. Great show, great discussion. Thank you so much, Pakwesi, the president of the Ghana National Council in Chicago. And Tracy got something for you, AKWETEY. Actually, Tracy, you are my number one guest. So next week you're available.
I would love
Tracy,
to.
if you come on, Tracy, if you come on, I'm going to support you. Okay, one.
She got my
okay. So guys, I think we've exhausted, we've dealt with this topic the best way we can for some time now, and I want us to look at one quick thing, and then we can try and close out. Sierra came up with one that I want us to see if we can look at it quickly. It's black men's fault, according to you all, since you talk about black men being in the lead. Why is it black women's role to go to the record label executives and say, no, we refuse to take our clothes off? Shouldn't we have our protection in that? Or is it just that you want submissiveness without protecting our women in ways that prevent them from being exploited? You are all literally saying that it is a woman's responsibility to stop white male record label executives from telling them. Sarah, if you listen to me carefully, I was actually saying, no, we are, the black men ought to be the ones that, stop putting this content out there. And so please take me out, Sierra. I'm not part of it's them. It's this four guys. I'm not part of
it. Not me either. I disclaim.
See, divide and conquer, man. You win it. You win it.
Oh my goodness.
We stay strong together.
But Sierra has a good point. Angie says, yes, the fact that so many black men drool over half naked
All men. All men.
of any race, black men should consider displaying more self-control. Imagine black men as a whole boycotting the strip clubs, not paying attention to Instagram models and promiscuity on social media. What do you think would happen? If black men said, I would prefer to entertain properly clothed women, how do you think that would affect women who grapple with self-esteem? Great point, NG. Guys, I want you to comment on NG and Sierra's point real quick, guys. Because of time, guys. If you guys don't make it short, we're gonna go to 10 p.m. Okay.
All right.
Keep it short, please. Keep it short. Sahid, please.
Yeah, I mean, so first, I don't think black men makes the highest population in terms of consumers of, the pictures as depicted. But of course, should black men exhibit more, vocalness with the need to actually, support our women? Okay, yes, we do. But of course, just as Dr. Silky said, it's not about passing blames in this case. We all need to just do better by standing up and actually be more vocal and follow through with action in protecting and portraying ourselves as more credible celebrities that we are.
Okay. Thank you so much for bringing that point out. Some people were trying to call, but the phone line is now acting properly. So I got some messages here and I'm going to read it. But Pastor AKWETEY.
Yes. Well, you see, I'm going to try and be as brief as possible.
Please.
Okay? No controversy in this one. All right. So is it Tracy Steele? This one's for you. Okay. All right. So when it comes to the media and how it's portrayed, one thing I will say is that we in general, and I think it's true, we in general need to make a stance. But you have to understand that the marketing is psychological. There's so much psychology that goes into marketing. And across the board, they know that sex sells. That is not a saying. That is an absolute truth. And it sells to both men and it sells to both women. So sex sells in every situation. So if people who are in those industries want to get ahead, then they use sex to get ahead. And that's what it is. As black men, we can scream and shout as much as we want. Hey, keep your clothes on, keep your clothes on. But at the end of the day, can you imagine a man like me going to Cardi B and say, Cardi B, next video, please keep your clothes on. Don't take your clothes off. Is that going to happen? That's not going to happen because it's affecting a bottom line. So we in general, I'm not just saying women, and men do the same thing and sell themselves for the industry as well. We need to come to a point where as people, we understand that our image is being portrayed in a very negative manner and we are contributing to it. Yeah. And when we collectively understand that what we are doing is hurting ourselves, then we can bring a stop to it. There is no rap music without black people. There is none. You can put as many white people on, but it's not going to catch. It's not going to hit the same way. Yeah. So if we ourselves start to take ownership of our own music and also start to take ownership of our own image collectively, both black and men, women, well, black men and white and black women, then we'll actually get a lot ahead. Now we are able to control the narrative and control the art. It is actually art which is not supposed to be focused on nakedness. It's art which is supposed to be focused on a person's ability to use words with music.
Sierra is saying that black men ought to take, since we are talking about leadership, don't you have to take that leadership?
So let me speak specifically on that. So if men are supposed to take responsibility, will women listen to a man who tells them to stop doing this?
Well, that is a question. Okay. We'll come back to that. He wants to start another one. Brother Mark, you wanted to comment on Sierra and Angie's comment real quick, please?
Yeah, I think there are two parts to it, right? So you have the commercial side of it that are controlled by execs and then that are controlled by certain individuals who are black who have power within that community, right? So to that part of it, yes, I think that the narrative could be different. You don't need to have half-naked women in music videos, in rap videos, and certain things. And that's controlled by those individuals in that community. Right. But then you have women who take it upon themselves to post these things on their Instagram or their Facebook. That's an individual decision.
Right.
So you can't blame a black man if a woman decides that that's the way she wants to market herself on her personal platform.
Right.
Okay. Now that maybe she has something in her community or her family or someone who could reach out to her and say, hey, if you want to portray yourself in a professional manner, you shouldn't be doing these things. But you can't chastise the black man who, if the page is open, is going to look at it, comment, like it, say something that is instinctive to most men, right? So from a personal level, I think women have to be cognizant of the decisions they make how they want to view themselves, how they want themselves to be portrayed, especially if they're professional women.
Awesome.
From an industry level, I think that yes, there can be more that can be done for Black men to portray women in a certain scenario.
Thank you. And before I come to Silky, your point, this is from Kofi. He says, it's not all educated women who are overbearing or bossy, even if they earn more than Black men do. So not all Black women. That's what he's trying to say. Some can be very instrumental to your success as a man. I will go further to say that if you are an ambitious man, it's going to be on your best interest to marry a bold, well-educated woman, Black woman, who will understand, encourage, and support your vision. Very, very true. There are times in your career or business when the only person you can trust or talk to is your spouse. Tell my African kins not to be intimidated. Just look carefully before you jump, because women change over time. My contribution. Attribute to Kofi Jakwe. He is the CEO of My Star Radio, which is carrying this show live right now. My Star Radio is a Pan-African radio station on these in Washington. Washington. And Kofi Jakwe is the CEO. Okay, thank you so much, Kofi Jakwe, for bringing this comment through. We have AKWETEY here. I mean, Mike, Pastor AKWETEY just came back to the feed. Silky, King Silky, before you make your comment, my last question to you guys. Guys, I want you to literally run through this, okay? What are the three things, the most important three things as men? What are the three most important things that we look out for or we crave from our beautiful Black women? But Dr. Silky, you wanted to comment on those two points earlier, and then we can take this last question. If not, we can just move on to the question.
Okay, just in response to what you were saying earlier about you talking about the pop culture in
Yes, there were two comments by Sierra and Angie. Sierra was talking about how, if Black men want submissiveness, then we should try and take responsibility or take leadership in trying to control the content, Black women content that is being thrown out there, right? And then Angie is also saying, well, if we keep consuming and enjoying all this half-naked Black women we see, it just motivates more Black women to keep doing it. So I
think we just have to get to a point in our society where we try to stop trying to control sexuality and what it is to express it, because that goes down to individual preference of value. And the fact that there are people out there, historically, sex has always been a part of our DNA as humans. To see a naked body and to be shunned by it has been something that has been culturally indoctrinated into each of us, depending on where you were born and where you were raised and what you believe in. So there has to be stop being this control over sexuality and expression of that and what that is or what that means to do that. That's the first thing, and stop trying to control it. Second thing is to
we should stop trying to control it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, stop trying to control it.
Before you continue, so that you don't miss this point, Sierra just had a comeback. Okay, she said, "Yeah, to control our media image, Black people have to collectively decide to not sell out, which we haven't been good at doing since the slave ships. We should have learned from the experience that the trade-off was never worth it." So she was just reiterating the point that she made earlier when it comes to Black men protecting the image of Black women on mainstream media.
Yeah, that comment makes me think about something. There's a Haitian American professor of anthropology. His name is Michel Rolfe Trayot, and he said, "Naming is power," and I believe that. And if we look at historically who names things, who categorizes things, who labels things, is not us. We fall victim to joining in and labeling something and saying, yeah, that's provocative, that's sexual, that's wrong, that's explicit because of the environments in which we find ourselves living in. So naming is power. The people that are naming it are the ones in power and control. Till we step outside of that and start, like we said, cohesively as a culture, as a people, start to have these discussions of what we want to feel like in our particular circle is valuable or sexually expressive or is sexually acceptable, then we're always going to be having this debate about sexuality and where Black women fit into it and all of that. We got to stop trying to control it. We find your niche, find your people and who you value with, and then grow your village or your nation with those particular people. But we as humans have always been sexual. And so no, I don't believe that Black women hold that responsibility, nor do we hold that responsibility as Black men to try to influence or control it.
Oh, okay. So Dr. Silky, thank you for bringing your point, making your point clear. I disagree with you. I think that we can control it. I'm not saying we can control it, but I think that we can do something about the content, and because it's very, very important for me personally. So, is anyone?
You said the three things. You wanted to go to the three things.
Yeah. Okay. Let me. There's a point here that I wanted to get out. Yeah. Pakwesi said, advocacy letter, it is wrong. That is wrong if that's what they are all agreeing to. But I will tell you this: when we combine the African culture to the American culture, we will always be wrong. Okay. So I don't know which point that Pakwesi were referencing to that Dr. Salete had made, but let's quickly take those 3 points. Let's respond to those 3 things. The 3 most valuable things that the Black man crave from his Black women when we're trying to date. I'll start with Saheed. Quickly, we can just run to just those 3 things that men value most, Black men value most.
Yeah, pretty much from my perspective, 1 is going to be respect. Number 2 is going to be confidence. And of course, lastly, is going to be love and affection.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Silky.
I wrote this out. This is a well thought out answer. I don't have 3 things. I need 1. I need a woman who can help me identify my emotional and mental responses with different experiences and stimulate my mental responses by her being in sync with me. That's what I need.
Wow. Okay. All right, Dr. Silky. I hope somebody's taking notes. If he comes across the way, you know what he's looking for. He wrote it down, so you better write it down.
Oh, yes.
Pastor AKWETEY.
I think my Dr. Silky's response came with the thesis attached to it. That was actually kind of complicated. Okay, so listen, I want to take men in general. You see, we always want to make the Black man different than man, and I think that we're to the most part the same. What does a man want in a woman? He wants a beautiful woman. I'm going to take it out of the 3 because all men want a beautiful woman to their subjective type. But then a man wants a woman who is cooperative. And when I say cooperative, somebody who's going to align with him and not bring strife. The Bible says that it's better for a man to sit on the corner of a roof than to sit in a house with a contentious woman. So the people who wrote the Bible understand that contention between a man and a wife is horrible, not just for the 2, but also for the children. So the number 1 is cooperation. Number 2, responsibility. Now, me personally, when I met my wife, and she hates when I tell this story, she's an attractive woman. What attracted to me the most is that I asked her, okay, or did you watch this show? It was a very popular show on cable at that time. She said, no, I didn't watch that show. So why didn't you watch that show? She said, I don't have cable. I said, why don't you have cable? She said, because it's not in my budget. That turned the light on in my head. I said, this woman would be perfect because she knows how to take care of her responsibilities and she knows how to take care of finances. If I put this woman in charge of my finances, she will never lead me astray. And to this day, my wife controls all the money in my house. All the money in my house. And the 3rd one, I intend to have children. So I want someone who's loving and nurturing. So someone who's cooperative, someone who's responsible, and someone who's loving and nurturing. That's all I need.
Wow. Oh, wow. I heard respect run through all of your list. Let's hear from Mark Alex.
Well, I don't have much to say because I think Pastor kind of hit on everything that I would have said. You know, you have to have a woman who is going to support you and cooperate with you on all levels. So, and I think you can put that in a higher umbrella in terms of a spirituality that allows for your energy and her energy to connect, right? So if there's a dispute, you guys could resolve the dispute. If there's a difference, you could settle that difference before you go to bed. And you guys have a common vision for where you want to go in a relationship, right? The second thing I would say is, as Pastor said, responsibility, but more so a sense of drive. So you have to understand that some things you're not going to have. You may be imperfect in some aspects, but as long as you want to improve on it, that is good, right? So you have to have a sense of wanting to improve yourself, identify the weaknesses that you have personally, and how those things can be improved over time in the relationship. And the third thing is obviously a woman who is loving and nurturing and caring, because all humans need that, right? You need that emotional support. Your kids are going to need that emotional support. You as a man need that emotional support. And those are things that you can't buy. And those are things that a school can't teach you, right? So LQ, EQ, those are things that you cannot get through a college degree. And those are things that every man should look for in a woman. And so I'd put that as the third thing on my list.
Wow. Thank you guys. Really, really appreciate your contribution to tonight's conversation.
We didn't get Saeed. Saeed, please.
We shouldn't leave you out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Saeed? Oh my goodness, my brother, go ahead.
No, I think I started out with that. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah, Aliko, we shouldn't leave you out of this too, you know?
Oh, you want to? See, I was trying to hide, but
Oh no, we need a link over here. What you looking for, brother? What you looking for?
I'm looking for a woman with a heart for God. In a woman who loves God. You know, that's just attractive to me. A woman that respects a man. You know, have that genuine respect for a man. A woman that is, love for God, respect, and a woman that is kind, basically. Of course, you have to come with some level of maturity, understanding. I can't deal with a woman who, you can't express herself. You can't, have if you don't have the ability to do critical thinking, it's a little bit of a put off. But those three things: kind hearts, the love
Love
for
for
God.
God.
Yeah, and then what was the third one? What was the second one, bro?
No, you say kind heart, love for God, and like somebody who can critically think. I think.
Yeah, a critical thinker. A critical thinker. And I think
Let's throw body hygiene in there too. We need to tell
Hey,
It's not even go there.
okay. Is that the number one pet peeve for men?
No,
I'm
Dr.
just
Silk is
saying.
just bringing this list up now, by the way, okay?
I think all men, I think everybody is put off by hygiene. Body hygiene is just something that will put anyone off. And so for me, the cooking. So okay, guys, last one. Sex, food. Which one would you sex, food, and respect? Which one would you pick? Dr. Silky.
Hey,
You only have one choice.
That's dangerous.
Sex. Sahid, sex, food, respect.
Respect.
Sex, food, respect. Pastor AKWETEY.
100% respect.
Sex, food, respect.
Respect.
Mark.
100% respect as well.
Respect. Okay, me to respect. So that is a key for beautiful women, black women. Men
Nobody
need
want to breathe.
respect. Well, Dr. Silky is the only one that wants sex, so that's fine. He's fine. I think that, and if you research, men feed off of that, and so I think it helps if we can provide that for our men, and also men, but vice versa for men too. We also respect our women, we love on them, and I think that we would have a session for our women too to express their viewpoint, just like we have been able to. Today's platform was just dedicated to just men to be able to hash out some of the things that we feel and some of the things that we would like to see or like to experience with our beautiful black women. And again, this show is not an indictment on them. It's not an indictment on the black race or black men, black women. Just basically looking at how we can move forward as a people. And so We hope that we've been able to do that with the few hours, with 2.5 hours that you have spent with us. It has been very, very informative, educative for me personally. I've learned a lot, and I hope you guys at home have too. The show is being syndicated right now with My Star Radio, based out in the Washington D.C. area. Washington D.C. In the East Coast, Washington D.C. to be specific. Okay, My Star Radio is based out on the East Coast and located in Washington D.C., owned by Kofi Jakwe. We are also looking currently into other syndications with other media platforms. The Progressive Minds is growing. We are currently undergoing a soft fundraiser. We urge you to visit our website, theprogressivemindshow.com, to contribute to us so we can keep bringing you these topical issues.
We beg, please, African Black people, contribute to something that's building the community. Don't just come and watch and leave. Please give your resources. This man is putting his heart out, putting his hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. He's pushing this show. Please contribute to what he's doing. I beg you, in the name of God, please.
Okay. That is my campaign manager right there.
Yes.
Oh my God. It's a lot of work. And I call him, and of course he knows, I talk about the stress, the difficulty in trying to get this going week in, week out. And so we are 501c3. So your contributions to us are tax deductible. So we urge you to support us as we keep bringing the
more you give, the more they deduct from your taxes. So give a lot. All right.
Who wants to be the vice president, the vice president campaign manager? Who wants to be? We have one. Okay,
I second that. Hey, Brother Lincoln, I want to just leave. I don't know. Just my last thing I want to say before we leave. We didn't even touch on it, but yeah. I wrote something down in terms of, because I know you brought up the Asian community a lot in dating and stuff like that, and we didn't really touch on dating outside of our race. But I want to say that we as people identify with the responses of our experiences, and different cultures bring out different experiences and different responses. So that was I know it was a brother that commented earlier about being married to an Asian woman earlier. It's been on my mind. So I just wanted to leave you with that, is that yes, we're going to have different experiences the more that we integrate and experience different cultures. So that was just my 2 cents.
Thank you so much. Saeed, your final words for today.
I mean, pretty much, thanks to Lico, but there's basically no community without its people. I mean, we couldn't say it any better. Let's actually build ourselves, and stats with this platform, for example. If we really love what Progressive Mind Show is all about, this is where we should actually amplify our voices. We should definitely show support to really put this out there. So again, it's been a pleasure. Look forward to more. Thank you.
Oh my man, thank you so much, Attorney Mark.
So I just want to thank Alico firstly for having the show. I want to thank all the guests on the show, and I want to thank the women and the men viewers out there. I think it's important to bring these things out into the open, and I think the discussion was a good one. So my last comments are really just going to be giving appreciation for everyone for spending their time to talk about the issues, and hopefully we get something out of it and we could progress forward.
Great, thank you, my brother. Pastor AKWETEY, your last comments.
Mr. Saeed, Mr. Silky J, Mr. Mark, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for being here. Senna, you are excellent. I want to appreciate you for even putting all this stuff together. And for the viewers, the ones who've logged off and the ones who find this later on, the whole point of dating is marriage, or it should be at the least. Marriage cannot be done in a vacuum. It is two people who have a common understanding, who move forward. The Bible says that can two walk together without agreement? There can be none. What God has put together for us is a blueprint to successful marriage, and which is a man's leadership and a woman's complete support. Without support, no one can do anything in this world. Even Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, cannot run Amazon without support. So a man cannot do anything without the support of a woman. We need women so desperately to get anywhere as a community. And it's through marriage, the basic building block of communities, that we get anywhere. Dr. Martin Luther King, he was a very, very powerful man, but his wife supported him, took care of the children, and gave him the ability to move out and do other things for Black people collectively. If we all have women who are willing to sacrifice for the family, and men who are willing to sacrifice for their women, and collectively the group, we will succeed. But as long as we're divided in the way that we are, we will continue to fail, because we are failing right now. Amen.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much, guys, for your final comments and for your contribution to this. Look, you have made our society, our community better. Because I know that somebody's listening out there, somebody else listening out there. This one is going to go out and positively impact, and that is what we live for. So I really appreciate your time. Look, it's been 3 hours now. You could have been anywhere else. You all have your job to go to and your family to attend, but you decided to spend it here. And I really, really appreciate you, Sahid, Dr. Silky, J. Booker, my brother, Pastor AKWETEY, Ate AKRONG, Mark, and then Attorney Mark Flowers. I really so appreciate you. Love you guys. And this one is from, yes, the purpose of marriage is to have dominion together. Thank you so much for your last comments. You just came through. Thank you, brothers. LeSean, thank you so much for being with us. To all the audience, wise words, Pastor Ate. That was a good show. We need part two. We'll definitely get part two, but before part two, the women have to be here.
Yes, yeah, I cannot wait. I can't wait.
If we don't get the ladies here, oh my. And so thank you. I just want to announce that Frankie Achampo just donated to us. Thank you so much, Frankie, for your kind donation. Jocelyn Akofa Asari, you also donated. Thank you so much. Ifwa Abigail, Ifwa Godfrey, CEO of Abyss Market all the way in Romeoville. Thank you so much for.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your donation. And it's always Pastor AKWETEY AKRONG who starts. He is the only person that had ever contributed to this show in a very significant way. Before we even started this kind of fundraiser, he was the one that, like, brother, you gotta put it out there. You gotta put it out there and try to get help. And so he's always assisted. So, brother AKWETEY, thank you so much. I want to take this opportunity to ask God to richly bless you and your family and your household, so that you can keep getting more money, so you can keep donating more and more.
Indeed.
And brother Linko,
Yeah.
Thank you, Pastor, for inspiring me right now. I have a 501c3, and I'll make sure my 501c3 make a donation to your show as well.
My pleasure, bro. Thank you so much. Yeah, can you your radio station, please? How can people listen to you? Go ahead. I forgot you have a powerful radio show as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the radio show it's in the UK. I have 76,000 listeners, 60 different countries, 64 different countries. It's called Live in the Castle with King Silky. It's hip hop and R&B show. Yes, I play a lot of the new age stuff, but I also try to incorporate messages to women and also messages to uplift. So I keep my hip hop edge, but also try to throw words of wisdom in there, because at the end of the day, it's just about inspiring people. So thank you for that. You can listen to TuneIn 105.7 ICR FM. Thank you. But my main thing is I'm the president of the Oregon Black Business Alliance. So yes, there are Black people in Oregon. Come support us. We are growing. Right now, we have a similar situation that happened, sort of like with Trayvon Martin. It was a young Black man named Barry Washington Jr. who was just killed. He gave a white woman a compliment, and the guy shot him and killed him. Yeah. And that's where we are right now in this state, trying to fight against stuff like that. So with me, I'm one man, but together collectively, we are a village. So I'm asking you guys too to let you know we got Black people in Oregon that need support and need help. And thank y'all for hearing me out and then being my kings and being supportive of me. Thank you. And I love you, brother Linko. Thank you.
I love you too, my brother. I love you too. And I recall you saying, brother Linko, let's do something, when we were communicating, and here we are. Alinko, if anyone needs catering, Faithful Kitchen, gotcha. Oh yes, Faithful Kitchen is in Chicago. Awesome African cuisine, not just African cuisine, contemporary cuisine. She got you. Very, very, very good food. So look up Faithful Kitchen on Instagram and place your order. I am very grateful to our audience, Sierra. I think the audience that won the debates this evening, will be Sierra, Tracy, and who else?
Tracy steals the star. She's the one. She's the star.
Okay, so she's the one that won the evening. Yeah, okay, we'll give it to Tracy. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of the show. I hope that you've shared it. If you haven't, keep sharing it. Let it be an ongoing conversation. Okay, let's keep it going. Hopefully, we are confident that we can make our society and our communities better. All right, this has been your host Alinko with the Progressive Mind Show. We shall be here this coming Sunday from 4 to 6. We'll be talking to African Americans living in Africa. They will be sharing their experiences. All right, so you want to tune into that. 4 p.m. CST. We will be live here on this show. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. We shall be seeing you very soon. Have a wonderful evening, guys.
Pleasure, Liz. Thank
Bye.
you. Have a
I love
good
you,
day.
Kings. I love you, all you Kings. Thank you. I love you.
Respect.